Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Alliance, your home on the Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network for any and all things Star Wars. I'm your host, as always, Katie, and joined me is the one and only Clay. Clay, how are you doing today?
I am doing great. For somebody who actually stayed up and watched Mandalorian, as we said before recording this, before going live, I actually slept. See, now I am officially on my new schedule where I have Wednesdays off. So now I can legitimately stay up if I absolutely want to. Won't do it all the time, but I am so glad that I did stay up because just everything that happened in specifically the Mandalorian is what I watched last night. I watched the both episodes of the Bad Batch uh, later on when I woke up after actually sleeping at night. But doing watching Mandalorian, I'm so glad that I did, because my gosh, the reaction that I had to somebody who showed up in Mandalorian, I think, like, because I was so tired at the time and hyped up on Red Bull at the same time, I felt like maybe it was like a fever dream and it didn't really happen. And then I had to go back and watch it again. And I was like, "Yep, that really happened. This is amazing. I'm so glad to be alive right now." Like that's how excited I was for this cameo. But yeah, feeling great. Spent the whole day with Amberlyn while Abby was out of town. So
Oh,
very first time doing that. We both survived. And yeah.
I have been up since 3 a.m. I have one review done. We're going to be tackling three more reviews tonight, and I don't think I'm getting my written Bad Batch review done today. So it might be we wake up early tomorrow and do the same thing all over again. Not as early as this morning because I've been up since 3 a.m. But uh maybe a little bit early to just get some stuff done. So yeah. I'm running on caffeine, a dream, and a rice cake and a really crappy protein shake. We have a couple pieces of news to get to today. And then we're going to talk about something that kind of trended for Star Wars books on the Twitter because Twitter's going up in flames. So let's take advantage of trending topics while we can, people. But before we get into anything, I'm going to hit the podcast paperwork side of things. Star Wars Alliance is brought to you by the Geekverse podcast channel, the GUA Podcast Network, where we have 8 shows, 7 days a week, and you can read all about those in the description box below. Um, there are three ways to support us as a podcast and a network as a whole. The very first way is via Patreon, where we have two tiers. The $1 tier helps keep the Kyber crystals charged around here, and the $5 tier gives y'all ad-free episodes, exclusive episodes, and any early episodes we may drop. The second way to support us is via the ads. We're an ad-supported show, ad-supported network. Clay or I will give you a warning before those ads are to occur, but just so you know now, we don't get to choose who the ads are from, nor how many times you hear the same ad in the same episode, nor how loud those ads are. So that warning is just to help you prepare those volume levels. Um, the third and final way to support us is via rating and reviewing us on your favorite podcatcher of choice. By taking 30 seconds, you really help us out a lot because those put us into the feeds of other listeners who may not be following us on social media. Um, the monthly Patreon call-in show for the GUA is not going to happen for March. We're going to have two in April. I'm kind of sad about this because I wanted to talk about Shazam, because I know Clay and I are like the only ones who are like, yes, Shazam was awesome. But I'm gonna try to make it at least one in April. So just pay attention um to your news feeds on the social media, as well as your Patreon inboxes to figure out when the next one's going to be. Again, we appreciate everybody who supports us on Patreon. So thank you very much. Um, the other thing to talk about at the very beginning of the show, because I have it right in front of me, I accidentally ordered 2 copies of Chronicles of the Jedi. So you know what we're gonna do here? We're gonna do a little giveaway. So I figured deadline will be the Mandalorian season 3 finale. So about a month to go here. But there are a couple ways you can enter. The first way is text us or call us with some thoughts on like Bad Batch season finale, the newest High Republic book, Mandalorian. Heck, if you want us to talk about a topic and you're like, hey, please talk about this, like, come on, participate. We'd love to hear from you. That is one way to enter. The second way, you can email us. If you're not really interested in sharing your phone, that is perfectly acceptable. Just shoot us an email. The hotline is 830-538-4828, and the email address is Star Wars Alliance without the A in the wars at gmail.com. And remember, the without in the A in the wars is not in the email. That's just the easy way to say there's no A in
Yeah,
wars.
exactly. So it's STARWRSALLIANSE at gmail.com.
CE.
Yep. CE. Sorry. Trying to read while scrolling and, again, hyped up on Red Bull a little bit. So, yeah. Email us. And remember, when doing the voicemail and or text messages, I will be screening these. Um, if you text us, all you got to do is let us know who you are either at the beginning or the end of the text message, whether that be your Twitter handle or your first name. Don't give us too much information, just because I don't think you should ever give too much information out there. So yeah, I think it'll be very, very fun. And I have only taken a glimpse at this book. Me and Katie are planning on doing a review of it sometime in the future. But I am currently, because I told you, Katie, I told you that just wait a couple days and we would get it. We got the audiobook version of Cataclysm. That book does come out in literally a week from now, if not 6 days from now, I think.
6 days.
So that's going to be a very fun review, which I think is happening tonight, right?
Yes, it is. So
Of
stay
course,
tuned
this will be
after.
it'll be a separate episode via from what you guys are listening here, but it will be on y'all's feeds.
Yes. And then just for one final bonus entry, if you want 2 points in order to enter, I'm always going to throw in rating and reviewing us on your favorite podcatcher, because again, those reviews help absolutely so much, um, and just kind of boost us in feeds. So if you want 2 entries, you can text or leave a voicemail on the hotline, or your second option is to email us, and then a bonus entry is the review on your favorite podcatcher. So that is the giveaway. Once again, we'll pick a winner for the Mandalorian season 3 finale. So the end of April is when you're looking at that, right? I think April 19th, actually, I think, because there's only 3 more episodes left. So you got 3 weeks, basically. So do all that. Um, and then just some general author plugs, because I love supporting our Star Wars authors. Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland, who just wrote Path of Deceit last fall. They have a new romance book out that they co-wrote together. And then Charles Soule is currently doing a Kickstarter for his new original novel that is due out in June. So you can check those out in their newsletters or on their feeds or your favorite bookstore if you're looking to get the Justina Ireland and Tessa Gratton book. So with that, Clay, where do you want to go for news first?
Okay, so news wise, trying to look through here to see. Um, okay, so you threw it out there, which also broke my heart a little bit. Jody Turner Smith, the news about the Acolyte, because it says here that Jodie Turner Smith just revealed new details about her Star Wars Acolyte role, including which weapon she didn't get to use. So this, I had no idea what this could be, and then you just put out there light whip. Of course, we have been really big fans of the light whip in the High Republic. So uh I it just hurts my heart knowing that we will not get to see this uh in live action yet. Do you think we're going to
No, I
eventually?
was saying like give her a light whip because
Oh,
the
give
direct
her a
quote
light whip.
from
I thought you were saying
yeah.
that she didn't get to use a light whip. Okay. So
Oh
I read
no,
that
you didn't get the
completely out.
context of the tweet.
No, I did not.
No, she
Okay.
says, I didn't get to use a lightsaber, but I did not get to use a lightsaber. So it sounds like she's using something lightsaber adjacent, aka light whip.
If that's the case, then bring it on. I'm a-okay with that. Totally did not understand that context of the tweet whatsoever. Um, so that's a weird quote. Like, of course, it's very much teasing, of course. Um, we do we know the character names whatsoever yet on
Nope,
her?
nope.
So could she well, this is they've said 100 years before
50 years.
they said 50.
50 years before the Phantom Menace.
Could this
Are you
be
thinking she's like an old Vernestra?
is she an older Venestra?
Oh my gosh. Say it ain't so. Like, oh my gosh.
Now, see,
I hope so.
here's okay. So the good thing is because it would I would be actually really upset if this came out before phase 3 of the High Republic. Like knowing their fates before we actually read their fates, like I think I would be really upset about that. But knowing that we
But
are
Vernestra
getting
has been a
phase 3,
super popular character.
she has been a popular character so much so that she has been a key character in the young adult novels as well as well sorry yes young adult not middle grade so the young adult novels and
No, she's
also
been middle grade.
has she been middle grade before
Hmm.
okay and then also
Yes.
having several appearances in the comics. She
Hmm.
has made appearances in the comics, so she is a popular character. I would 100% go for this. And then that brings us, back to the set photos. We saw a Wookiee. We could be
Well, we
seeing
know Burry could be alive because Wookiees live for hundreds of years.
yes, we do know he could be alive. But remember, we don't know his fate from the fallen star.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. This is true.
So,
Not saying you're wrong. Just saying. I don't think he's dead, just like a certain someone in the Bad Batch. Matt says I'm in the denial phase. We'll see. We'll see.
I ooh, I think you might be in the denial phase. We will get into that very heavily when we get into our Bad Batch review. But where else do you want to go as far as the news? What other topics do we got?
All right. So my parent people, the first three shorts for the Young Jedi Adventures, which takes place during the High Republic, did actually premiere on the Star Wars Kids YouTube channel as well as um the Disney Junior YouTube channel. So you can check those out there. The promo for this has now gotten a little confusing. So Scare Madness, who runs Star Wars Queer Watch on Twitter, said apparently I'm not the only one who was confused by this, but the April 26th date that was put out, I think late last week, is specifically for all of the shorts. May 4th is the premiere date for the actual show. I didn't realize we were getting like the full on
They
animated stuff.
well, I think so. Our I'm trying to look back because I know I sent them to Abby to show Amber Lynn. Um, but I do believe that the shorts are, let me just click on the first one. Uh
So the first
how
one was I think 3 minutes and 20 seconds. The second one was 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and the third one was not up when I watched it originally.
and what was the because I'm pretty sure we heard that they were going to be short form episodes, right?
That's what I was thinking. But I'm looking at Wikipedia here, not Wikipedia, Wikipedia, and it says it is the first full length animated Star Wars series targeted at young audiences.
Hmm. See, that's a little confusing. Cuz I'm not going to complain about the more content, you know? But at the same time, like, are these shorts just like snippets of the episodes that are coming out? Or because I wasn't able to watch them.
Yeah,
You
that's
said
the
you watched
question.
them. Like, did it
Yes.
feel like there was a beginning and end to these shorts, or did they feel
Yeah.
like they were plucked?
One of them felt like it could have been plucked. The other one I was like, okay, this is a short. I'm looking at the original announcement. May 27th, 2022. The first full-length animated Star Wars series created for preschoolers, early grade schoolers, and their families. Uh, This is on StarWars.com. So apparently we just assumed it was shorts, or maybe it got like lost in translation because I do remember seeing, and obviously we got shorts, but it's interesting to have shorts and then series. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a little odd. Hmm.
Hey, I'm never gonna complain about more Star Wars content.
Neither am I. And guys, if I do sound a little quiet, I am currently putting in my rankings for Star Wars novels. Katie did ask me to do this, and there is so many. Like I look at Katie's bookshelf every single Wednesday, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot of books. When you actually have it right here in front of you by title, it's almost too much. But I'm getting it down. I'm getting it down, and I think that like. Do you know how when somebody is new to a fandom and they just love everything? Like, I'm not gonna say I love everything, but my chart definitely makes it look like I love everything.
I know I was looking at other people's charts, then I was like, wow, I have like 9 or 10 masterpieces, but everybody else has like three.
Oh no, so S tier. I'm just gonna say we will save this for a different time. Because I well, actually, I'm almost done, so I think we could do it. Um,
Okay. I think we only have one more piece of news to talk about anyways. Actually two. So, Path of Vengeance, it looks like is going to be available early at Celebration next week.
I am
It is
so upset about this. Like,
I know, because
okay,
it's in
okay,
Europe and it's
yes, it's not that I'm like actually like angry at people, but for the fact that it is coming out when it's
May 4th.
May
Or no,
4th,
it's May 1st.
May 1st. That's right, May 1st. And again, not saying that it's a possibility that we would probably be getting a copy in advance as well, as far as digitally. Um, but just to have it physically in the presence, like people can actually pick it up and start reading
Yeah.
it like in a week. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Katie, I think you already have yours locked down, right? You have somebody possibly
Adri-
getting yours.
Adrian from But Why Though has agreed to get me a Cataclysm exclusive copy and he's stated that he's going to pick me up a Path of Vengeance. So I greatly appreciate him. Um, so yeah, I'm very lucky if he's going to be able to pick those up for me. Because I'm like, oh, I want to know how it ends. Like, especially if we're gonna talk about this, but Cataclysm, I'm like, I need to know. I need to know, people. Like, let's do this. Like, please.
Guys,
Um,
our Cataclysm review tonight, if you go onto the other episode to actually listen to it, it is going to be wild. I think
it's gonna be bonkers.
we both have things that we love. I think there is some very large questions to be answered by the end of the book, but we are going to talk all about it.
Yep. Um, and Cataclysm, as well as Quest for Planet X, are both out next week on Tuesday. So we typically do these books as soon as the book reviews, as soon as these embargoes hit. I had been swamped, y'all, so we're doing it tonight. But yeah, so Path of Vengeance potentially coming out. If you're concerned about spoilers on your feed, I would go ahead and mute, because this is not just going to be because the Disney PR has not been very responsive. And a lot of people on Twitter are admitting that. So I'm
And
not afraid to say it.
I'm
But
gonna go ahead and say this. I'm not gonna give any spoilers for Cataclysm for clearly, but Katie and I were just talking about literally the cover of
mhm,
uh of the book. I think the safest thing to mute, as far as if you're wanting to stay away from spoilers, is of course the High Republic. You want to go ahead and mute the Path of the Open Hand. I think that you should probably mute any and
probably
all.
RO.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh, you should mute any of the members of the Path that you know of via comics or novels, just in case. Not going to say names just because of things that we have read recently. And then I think that's it. Just because of
The
what.
mother. That would be the only other thing I can think
Yeah,
of.
the mother is a clear name that I think you should probably mute when it comes to probably Star Wars, the mother, the High Republic, the mother, or whatever hashtag or phrasing that you want to put in there. Um, but yeah, I think that it will get crazy. I haven't purposely been looking for people's opinion on Cataclysm as of yet, but I think after tonight I will go to see what the fan reaction was for people who have read it in advance. Because this
Yep.
book, like we said, is coming out in 6 days. And I think it's going to catch a lot of people by surprise.
And for this one, like we've always said, we're always grateful to get books early and stuff. Um, but like Quest for Planet X hasn't had a single bit of promotion for it, and that's so sad, because the
Did,
middle grade books have been some of the best to come out.
did you guys see I've seen people posting pictures of Quest for Planet of X like at bookstores already also. I think
Yeah.
fellow
Blue Milk
follower
Mama on Twitter,
yeah, yeah. I
he
saw it
found it
today.
in a bookstore, and so I'm like, I don't have like a local bookstore like that. Like, I'm just gonna have Barnes and Noble and Books a Million, and they never put stuff out early. So I'm very sad, but I hope, again, it's coming out next Tuesday. So um we yeah, we will see what happens, but don't skip out on Quest for Planet X, people. Um so also Michael Siglane did also recommend to read Quest for Planet X first. So there's
Before Vengeance?
before Cataclysm.
Oh,
So
before Cataclysm. Okay. Hmm.
Cataclysm.
Wait, I'm so confused. They're coming out
Because
at the same date?
yes, they're coming at the exact same date, April 4th.
Oh. I wonder. Oh, see, now that's gonna irk me because now I'm just thinking, what in it, what in Cataclysm did I not have context for? Because it felt like it flowed very seamlessly. So
Right. So we'll see what happens. Um, and we'll talk about why I think. why I think it doesn't matter in the review. But the last bit of news we have is Mark Rolston, who is a member of the Ahsoka cast, um, signed an Ahsoka poster and revealed his character name is Captain Hale. Potentially true, potentially just a fake out. What are your thoughts?
So I saw you and Taylor talking about this in our Star Wars Alliance chat. And for me, I'm like, who and who? Like, I don't know the actor's name whatsoever. And Captain Hale just sounds like a very generic name. I think that is probably why it could be a fake out because it's very generic. Taylor said that it sounded very imperial. You made a very good point in saying that we're in Star Wars. Like people just own ships. Captains are everywhere. It's not specific to military titles. So it could literally just be anybody. And I think that is a little bit more intriguing just because uh I think Taylor said, "Oh, well, he definitely looks like he could be an Imperial. It looks like or it sounds the name just sounds kind of Imperial-esque." And I think that it would be very on brand for the, let's say, Rebels team, because we have seemingly called Ahsoka, Rebels season 5, basically. Um, I think that it would be very on brand for them to seek help from, just other quote unquote rebels. And I know the Rebel Alliance is not a thing at that time anymore. But I think it's still like it could still very much work that they just find somebody, they help them out, you know?
I think so too, because I mean, as we've seen with kind of Mandalorian, for example, because we really didn't see it with Andor, but as we've seen for Mandalorian, the side missions can sometimes take up 1 to 3 episodes. So I don't think we're going to get full force plot. Usually announced as a limited. Maybe they've changed that. Maybe they haven't. I guess we'll find out. But that's just the things to take into consideration. Obviously, Star Wars Celebration starts next Friday, next Thursday. Well, the 9th, right?
I
7th.
think it's the 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It starts on the 7th and goes through the 10th. So I think we're gonna get some news and we're gonna get character names. Obviously, you're gonna have to come back to find out because next week we're doing Star Wars Celebration predictions for what's gonna happen. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
gonna be a doozy of an episode, I feel like.
it will be. It will be. But we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. So yeah. Um. All right. So do you want to do your tier maker now, or do we want to hold off?
Let's just do this. So what we'll do is we both have a very hefty size have not read yet. So we'll leave that out. Um and we will go from S to F. There are books
I
that
renamed mine, but yeah.
okay. There is a tier for like already owned but not read yet. We could also uh say that one as well. But uh real quickly, so that way this episode isn't like super long. What you can do is your top tier, you name all the ones that you have, and then I'll name all the ones that I have. You'll name the next one, I'll do the next one, and then we'll go back and forth. So what is your
Okay.
what of course I didn't rename it, so it'd be S tier. What is your S tier books in the Star Wars canon titles?
So for me, I renamed it Masterpiece because that's what I saw a lot of people doing. So I've got Convergence, Midnight Horizon, Leia, Princess of Alderaan, Lost Stars, Shadows of the Sith, Ronin, um, Test of Courage, Rising Storm, and Thrawn Alliances.
Okay, so currently on my masterpiece list, as you called it, the S tier, I have Ronin, Shadow of the Sith, Princess and the Scoundrel, The Fallen Star, Cataclysm, the Raging Storm, and the Path of Courage.
Oh, you're right. I hadn't put Cataclysm on here because I was waiting for my reread. So Cataclysm is also in my top one. So yeah, it's nice to see the duology there.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Um, so for me, the next year I had was incredible. And I have Dark Disciple, Dooku Jedi Lost. Oh gosh, the Thrawn Alliance's the black cover because I can't read the title. Last Shot, Light of the Jedi, Phasma, Princess and the Scoundrel. Uh, crap. What is the name of that one? Resistance. Reborn. Um. Oh my gosh. This is the problem with this one is the covers are so tiny. Out of the Shadows, Bloodline, and um, Mission to Disaster.
So mine is this is what you called incredible, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I have uh Convergence. Then I have uh Star Wars Brotherhood. Then I have The Tempest Runner. Then I have, and again, same problem that you're having. These titles are so small. I'm picking up the uh titles right here on I have Into the Dark, then I have Mission to Disaster, Light of the Jedi, and then Jedi Dooku Lost. Or sorry, Dooku Jedi Lost. Don't know why I read that backwards. Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna run down this list pretty quickly because the next one I have is good and it's got 3 rows in it. Um so and I'm gonna go by colors as well. So I'm sorry people, but so I've got a Crash of Fate, the Dr. Afra audio drama, Brotherhood, from a certain point of view, from a certain point of view, Strikes Back, Thrawn Ascendancy, the red cover, Lords of the Sith, Most Wanted, Queen's Hope, um, crap, what is this one? Quest, the first middle grade book in phase 2 of the High Republic. Shadowfall, Battlefront Inferno Squad, Tarkin, Thrawn Treason, Victory's Price, Ahsoka, Alphabet Squadron, The Battle of Jeddah, Thrawn Ascendancy, the first one, Force Collector, Fallen Star, Into the Dark, Queen Shadow, um, the second middle grade book in phase 1 of the High Republic, Rebel Rising, Thrawn, the 2 anthologies, the young adult anthologies, The Clone Wars, and Tales of Jedi and Sith, The Legends of Luke Skywalker, Tempest Runner, Path to Deceit, and The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay. So this is the what tier is this? Would you
This
name
is
it?
good.
Good. So in my good list, I only have 4, and that is the Battle of Jeddah, the Star Wars Stories of Jedi and Sith. Then I have Path of Deceit, and then I have what is that title? It is uh, wait, I'm going into phase 2. No, I still want to stay in phase 1. It is where are these titles?
Which one is it?
Out of the Shadows.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, I think this tier falls into I've read all of these books, but I either never got a second read through because I jumped to the next one because I didn't start reading these until I was junior year of college when I started reading Star Wars books in canon.
Mhm.
So a lot of these I really want to make my way back through it, but also there's so much stuff coming back up. So that's why they're all here. For me, the next tier is Fair, and I have the Canto Bight anthology, Star Wars Jedi Battle Scars, Master and Apprentice, Queen's Peril, Poe, Dameron Freefall, and Padawan.
Okay. So my fair would be Quest for the Hidden City, Star Wars Rebel Rising, and then the last one, because there's only 3 on this list for me, is Star Wars Midnight Horizon.
All right. Well, my last category is no thank you. And this tells you how much I hate this book. And it's Star Wars Aftermath. Again, took me 4 tries to get through the book. I still haven't read. I own Life Debt and I own Empire's End. I can't manage to get into them. At some point, we'll get into them because there are, and I've read the story summaries on Wikipedia. There's important stuff that happens. I just can't stand the writing.
Now, do you have 2 more tiers after this or no?
No, so I kind of shrunk mine because I wanted it to fit on one screen so I could present it or take a
Okay,
better
okay.
screenshot. So I have the last 2 tiers I have are already owned but not read yet and not read yet.
Okay, so I have 3 more tiers, and it's 1 book each.
Okay.
So my D tier, which I think is still passing, but it's not. I mean, it's just like school. So a D is passing, but it's just not great. That
Yeah.
is Padawan. Then I have my E tier, which is like maybe on a good day, it is okay to read, but maybe on a bad day, I just like don't even attempt to finish it. And that would be from a certain point of view, A New Hope. For me, again, there is some great stories in there, and there is some horrible stories in there. Just that's just me personally. No actual attacking on anybody that did write in those books whatsoever. And then my F tier. My F tier is failing, of course. An F is failing in school. That's how I presented it. And that is Jedi Battle Scars. That for me, just there was maybe 1 or 2 things that I loved about that book, and then everything else was just not great at all. So that is my list there. I have a huge, like a whole, like I have to scroll a whole freaking thing on my mouse to get past the not read yet. And then I have the already owned but not yet read. And this is actually really crazy. I went through all of phase 1 without reading this book, and it is the uh crash at the race to Crash Point Tower. I still haven't read it.
Oh yeah, that's the second one. Um, how did you get through everything and not read that one?
I don't know. Now I'm of course, we have been teased that after these 3 phases of the High Republic, we're still gonna be fed from Random House
Endlessly
Worlds and
Glen.
yeah, exactly. He's teased that there's something. I don't know when they're gonna push all that out, but I do feel like after phase 3, I'm gonna do an entire reread of the High Republic. I think
Yeah.
that is just me personally, especially with the job that I have. It's gonna be super simple. I'm just gonna put them. I'm gonna download them all by
The
phases and
magic of
just listen to them.
audiobooks.
Exactly, exactly. But yeah, that is our tier list. I will say this: out of the things that I have not read yet, the things that I look forward to the most. There is the upcoming book that is coming out this year about the Inquisitor, Rise of the Blade, I
Yeah.
believe is the title. That is one I'm very much looking forward to. Um, kind of, it could and could not be a companion piece to Padawan. Being Master and Apprentice is another book that I am wanting to read. And then uh of course, Katie has talked such good things about the Padme trilogy as well as the Alphabet Squadron books. So
Yeah.
those are the books that I have highest on my list to eventually get to.
Yeah, and we're gonna read the Padme books just so Clay can get a perspective on the author, because the author is E.K. Johnston, who is writing the Crimson Dawn or Crimson Rain book, whatever, the Kira book.
Yes, yes.
So, okay. So, I believe that takes us through our activity for the day as well as the news. So, we hitting Mando first, or we hitting Bad Batch first?
I think that the conversation from Mando is going to be a little bit shorter than what we just witnessed in the Bad Batch. So let's go Mando first. I think that's what a lot of people want to hear because
Okay.
unfortunately, after today, I have completely flipped. There's people out here not watching Bad Batch, and after this finale, you need to watch Bad Batch. But we'll get into that later tonight. Uh, but let's go ahead and jump into the Mandalorian. Uh, Katie, so everybody, and I mean everybody, I'm surprised it took everybody so long to keep their mouths shut. I thought as soon as this cameo was popping up, it was going to be plastered all over Twitter. I immediately went to Twitter to see if anybody had posted it, and nobody did. So I was like, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to post it. I'm not going to say anything. But I did say something in the, of course, Geekverse Discord, like, "Oh my god, this cameo! You guys need to watch it." Um, this cameo being a, of course, uh,
Just gonna get that out of the way, right off the bat.
right off the bat, we're gonna get it out of the way. Zeb. Zeb showed up.
Darazab Aurelius.
Now, I questioned it from first appearance. I was like, okay, it could be just another just another person that is the same species. But once I heard that beautiful voice from Blum, that is Zeb. That is 100%
I
Zeb.
I didn't even have to hear the voice. He walked over and I said, "That is freaking Zeb." And Matt goes, "Is it?" And I was like, "He is the only Lasat." Like, yes, I get it. Like, yes, there's other Lasat, and we learned that in Rebels that the planet that they all moved to a different planet, that's hidden away and everything. And we saw Zeb, and we saw him take the Chris Evans look-alike dude, um, whatever his name is, I can't remember his name. Um, so all of them could have decided, oh yeah, we're gonna escape and go back out into the world. But no, I don't think they would have. I think Zeb would have been like, I don't know where Ezra is, but I need a job. So I need to go back into the world and I need to get a job so then I can help with Zeb.
I like the way you phrase that because when you look at Rebels and you look at the relationship that Zeb and Ezra had, it was always butting of heads, and then the more and more they progressed, there was brotherhood there. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Zeb would definitely have the idea or the feeling of I don't want to put Ezra's sacrifice because right now, who knows where Ezra is, right? And in this case, you assume that Zeb thought that Ezra sacrificed himself to save the galaxy. So he would say, I don't want to put his sacrifice in vain. I need to make myself useful, and this is how I'm going to make myself useful. I
Yep.
definitely think he had that thought.
Yeah. I think it makes sense to me, and I mean he's shown to have skill in a ship. I think he's flying probably a Y wing right now, which is what he helped fly off in season 4 of Rebels. So, I think it makes perfect sense. And I'm excited because like there's really truly nothing to this cameo, y'all. It's just a, oh hey, here's Zeb, and He may be coming soon in like Ahsoka.
I
Candide.
I think that is basically it. It's just like, hey, remember this character? He's
Mhm.
gonna be important later on in the year. That is
Yeah,
basically it.
here's where he's at in life.
And it doesn't help that a lot of people do think that this show is basically the cameo show. Um, but that's kind of where you're stuck at in again, when you pigeonhole a show within a greater canon that of the Star Wars or the Skywalker saga, like you kind of have to do it. And again, you don't have to, but this universe is larger than Mando, right? You know there are
Yep.
bigger pieces that are gonna show up. And I think it's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah. And James, uh, James from Full Circle, he's been here before. I'm gonna kind of call you out, but no, I understand. Please know I do this with love, but I also understand where you're coming from. He was like, I saw the internet was going wild about a cameo in The Mandalorian, and I was like, what did I miss? And then he's like, everybody was talking about it, and I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is. You know, sometimes it's just there for like the fans and everything. Um, but then like also sometimes it's just a hey, here's a familiar face, you go to watch this show later on, you can latch onto this and go, hey, that's where that guy was from. It's an Easter egg. And I think this cameo is much more effective than some of the stuff in season 2 of Mandalorian. It's much more effective, but it's there, but it's also not there because it's not relevant to the plot.
True, true. And I think that is it would be completely different if like Zeb was here for the entire episode, right? I think that would be something that you could be like, now it's for sure the cameo show because he is front center stage. And with this, you are right. It doesn't do anything to the story. That literally could have been any other character, and the story and the plot of this episode would have moved exactly the same.
Yeah.
So
And I do think it is kind of relevant. Christian, who's another guy from Full Circle, he pointed this out. Zeb is a wise choice to use here because he saw what happened to Lothal, and he saw that the rebellion was like, we can't spare anybody to come to help you guys. You're kind of on your own. And that's basically what he lays down for Carson Teva. What he says in Rebels, or what's said in Rebels, well, as far as Yavin is concerned, Yavin being the rebellion, this fight is over. Mon Mothma won't commit more forces to Lothal, not after this. And then Zeb says, they're swamped. You'll never get an answer in time. Good luck. You're going to need it. And he's speaking from experience. So,
yeah, I think that with the experience that Zeb has had, again, we've all seen Rebels. um he knows when to do the right thing. It's that whole thing. It's better to ask uh for forgiveness,
yeah.
what's the saying? It's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. That's what it is. Yes. And but he did ask for permission. That being, I always forget his name. The pilot that was actually trying
Carson
to get
Teva,
Tiva.
played
Yes.
by Paul Sun Young Lee. I'm sorry if
Yes.
I butchered that.
uh he went to the New Republic and was like, "Hey, this is what's going on." Like, and it's gonna get really really messy if we don't help them out. Which actually left us with a little bit of a confrontation with an evil somebody that we saw in not the last episode, but the episode prior. Um, what do you think about this interaction? This whole like passive aggressive, like w- 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 how do you feel because it's very on the nose. It's very on the nose. We're hearing all these things about Moff Gideon, and you know clearly from episode 3 that she is very much evil still, not on the side of the New Republic. Like,
Yeah.
was this necessary, or was it too on the nose for you?
I don't think it was too on the nose. I think Katie O'Brien did a fantastic job here. Um, and she really nailed what the scene needed to be for. Um, because Tiva kind of needs the push because obviously Kane is playing both sides and kind of going mainly for the First Order, Empire, whoever you want to say she's working for. Uh, and so she knows exactly what she needs to say to manipulate people. And she hears Navarro come up, and it's like, ooh, I'm on that shit. So, um, I think it's a planned move, and I think it works well in her favor.
So I just want to pull this up. All in the Game brings up a very good point. Wouldn't the pirates have decimated a seemingly defenseless Navarro by the time he went all the way to the New Republic and then the Mandalorians? Now, on the Game, I do think that I forget the pirate's name, um, but
Orion
he
Shard.
okay, he wanted to like really send a message. Like he didn't want to just decimate everything. He wanted to be in control. He wanted to
Yep.
literally be that dark cloud above Navarro and be like, "Ha, nobody can do anything. I'm going to take over your city." And that's what he wanted to be. It's very much an ego thing. Um and I think we see that by the end of the fight when he is not
Yep.
quitting, when he knows it's like he shouldn't he should have retreated and he didn't. But in regards
But
to
I
the
can
converse, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
sorry. I I do also want to point out that he did decimate Navarro. The citizens were all run out to the cave structure underneath the volcanoes. Um
I think
and
he meant
like
like more so like completely flattened it.
yes, your and I agree with your point that he wanted to rule it. But he did decimate parts of it. Like whole buildings are over there flattened. He left like the school. You see the pirates drinking in the saloon. And then he left like the ruling structure. But I mean, you see, he's also still on a ship. So I think there's a reason he's not down below with the rest of his crew. So
Yeah. But in regards to the conversation that they were having with the New Republic, I love the line where he's like, "Oh, you weren't you didn't switch sides, you were captured." And she goes, "I wasn't captured. I was liberated." And she kind of has
fucking
that like
badass.
she
Fucking
has that like very
badass.
sly smile to it. I'm like, "Oh, I hate you so much," but that was such a good line. Um
Yes.
trying to think. So the biggest thing, of course, is he does go to the Mandalorians. This I feel like was a MacGuffin. The droid, because I was like, how did he know
R5,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I think it's clever, but at the same time, like, eh, like I didn't really like how they did that. Um,
Well, it's a tie-in too, from a certain point of view, in New Hope, because in that story with R2, when R2 is trying to convince him, hey, I need you to explode yourself so I can escape and be free and go find my master, R5 goes, rebellion. Where have I heard that before? So he literally
true.
worked with the rebellion.
Yes, yes, very,
So
very
it's a
true.
tie-in.
Uh, which very clever. I didn't really think about that until now. But the conversation that goes from there, requesting the Mandalorian's help, uh, freaking uh, Vizsla is like, why do we have to do anything? We could just kill him, and because the whole thing is now that you know our secret base, we have to move. We have to the hell out of
Mhm.
Dodge. We can't stay here. And that's when Paz was like, well, we're comfortable here. We're safe here. We're Mandalorians. Why couldn't we just kill them? And then nobody knows again. Like, boom, that's easy fix right there.
Yep.
Of course, Din Djarin is saying, hey, uh, I owe him one, so maybe not. And let's talk this through and see if we can actually do this. Um, and it gets the speech. What did you think about the speech? And I thought this was hilarious. I feel like this has happened before in prior seasons, but when they were having their meeting with the talking stick, I I laughed because I didn't realize what it was until they passed it around.
Yeah.
From Din Djarin to the armorer to Paz. Um, what did you feel? Because of course, Mandalorian Din Djarin is trying to convince everybody, hey, these are the reasons why we need to help them. Um, and one of the biggest reasons is, hey, if we go to Navarro, they have open land that we can lay claim to, and we no longer have to be in exile. We no longer have to hide from anybody. So why don't we help them do this? Take our claim to this land and we will be Mandalore again, basically. But what did you think about Vizsla's uh speech? Like it did have a turn to it, and of course Dan was like so surprised at the moment where it
Mhm.
took a turn. But like, how'd you feel about the speech overall?
It shows how dangerous Vizsla is because Din makes the speech and nobody really says anything, but Paz gets up there, Vizsla gets up there, and he just is like, you know, we loved Navarro, and you know what? This guy saved my son, so I'm all in. Let's go save some people. This is the way, and everybody cheers. And it just shows you this is the guy. Remember, Vizsla in the Clone Wars was a household name. He led Death Watch, and you
Well,
get here
it's gonna lead us to a piece of our conversation for the end of the episode,
exactly.
which I find very not in character for the armor. I feel like it's very off character, but
I got something for that too. But
I think it still works. But from there, they do. I think everything on Navarro from this point on, the dog fights in the sky, the awesome, awesome ground fight that they had. Like, I
mhm.
think all of the set pieces here were really fun. Um, for those of
And
you who
this is Peter Ramsey directing, and this is his first time directing in live action. He I believe he assisted on Into the Spider-Verse. Um and then he's done a couple more animated projects, but this is his first time doing live action, and
so
I think it really worked.
his credits as far as animation has Across the Spider-Verse, so the one that's coming out this
Across
year.
the Spider-Verse. Yeah. I
Also
knew it
The
was
Rise
Spider-Verse
of the
somewhere.
Guardians, which is one of my
Yeah.
favorite movies, animated, and then also Monsters versus Aliens, is another animated movie that he has been a part of. Um, I loved the cinematography here. For all of you who are gamers out there, if you know of a game called For Honor, they have factions, Vikings, samurai, like all these different factions. If they could just like have like a Star Wars
Mhm.
DLC for Mandalorians in that game, this would be the perfect way to show how that would work. Just like the the strategy and the strategic takeover of everything. I loved everything. It was really fun to see this go down. And we also saw the armorer get down and dirty and
Mhm.
beat people with her hammer and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool too.
Yeah. So Bo and Din managed to take out Gorian Shard in the sky.
Yes.
And then we end up back on land. Grief Karga is like, here's your land. You're more than welcome to it. Have at it. We appreciate you guys. Um, and in that stance, Vizsla says to Bo, "Hey, the armor wants to talk to you." They go to the original forge in Navarro that they were hiding at, and they have this whole conversation. And the armorer goes, "I believe you saw the mythosaur," which she totally didn't act like she believed Bo saw the mythosaur in the last episode.
Yes.
Maybe she's had time to think on it, but maybe she also sees how dangerous Bo can be as a leader, because this is now 2 missions in a row that Bo has taken leadership of the mission to rescue Ragnar, and then she teaches the covert how to be a cohesive team unit, getting onto Navarro. So I'm excited to see where this goes, because basically the armor goes, "Hey, you're gonna walk in both worlds, and I want you to go pull other Mandalorians back here to Navarro so we can take Mandalore for ourselves."
See, so this is when you say live in both worlds, we have to be specific here because the one thing that I was not okay with, real quick, on the game does say, when you strategically or instinctively take to the sky if you get boxed in like they did in the street fight. Uh, I thought of the same thing, but I think with how heavy cornered they were, if they were to use their jetpack, I think it would have risked getting their jetpack blown up too easily. They
Yeah,
were surrounded.
you you run into that issue, but you also, when you're boxed in like that, you have cover that you can still hide behind. Whereas if you take off into the sky, you're all of a sudden without cover, even though that makes you a moving target. So I think it was a combination of both of those things. But also, I mean, they've been on the run for so long. Resources are hard to come by for them. And so they have jetpacks, yes, but they have probably been trained to use them very sparingly, like when it's a life or death situation. And Mandalorians are full on warriors, so they're going to do anything they can to get out of a fight and be analytical about it to see where things come down to.
Yeah. But what I was saying for the armorer, when talking about living in both worlds, and what I felt was very out of character for the armorer, um, Bo-Katan is standing there, hands behind her back, like you said, has the whole thing about the forge. Bo-Katan's like, "Oh, I remember the forge fondly," all these different things. And then there's a quiet pause, a little awkward, and the armor just says, "Take off your helmet." And Bo-Katan like looks both ways. She's like looking behind her. She's like, "What game are you playing here?" type of thing. And she's like, "Oh, but the creed." And the armor says, what she say? She said, do you and it's something along the lines of like, do you trust me, but also like, do you respect my position, is basically what she asked of
I
her.
am the Creed.
And she's like, okay. She takes off her helmet, and then the next scene has Bo-Katan walking in front of all the other Mandalorians to tell them, hey, she's going to live in both worlds. She's going to bring other Mandalorians here to us, and we're going to take back Mandalore. Katie, there is going to be a giant race to be the leader of Mandalore. The race right now, a lot of people still think Din Djarin is in that race. I don't think he cares.
Oh,
After, like, because even after this episode, when he makes eye contact, presumably you can't see his eyes, with Bo-Katan, he just nods at her. He understands, okay, that's your role. Like, he's just a part of the system, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but I don't think he has like this very large like idea to rule Mandalore and the Mandalorians. Just think that he is safe and comfortable as a Mandalorian, and that's where he wanted to be. But I
yep.
think the race to leadership will be Bo-Katan, Paz, and the Armorer. And I think that is going to be very messy in the future.
And it's all going to be fun when Grogu comes with the dark saber because he's inherited it. and rides the damn Minotaur. No. No, I think what we saw from Paz in the meeting with the covert at the beginning, that makes him dangerous. And this move outside the Creed to have Bo live within the Creed, but also not in it, Paz is gonna get pissed off and gonna want to take charge. He's gonna lose faith in the armor and make that decision. I think the armorer is making this decision because she sees how dangerous Bo is as a leader. And is like, okay, what can I do to get her out of my hair for now and try and like take back some leadership?
Yes, but like it's I would like to know a little bit more lore into the Mandalorians because, like, what is it about the armorer that just made her like the top dog? What has made her like, this is my position, I get to order everybody around? Like,
The biggest thing is the fact that she knows how to forge, probably. Um, and that gives her power because the armor for a Mandalorian is their greatest weapon.
yeah,
So I would say it's probably something along those lines. It's probably somebody who saw what Satine did as a leader and said, I will never do that again, but I also don't want to do what Death Watch is doing. So we're going to build something else. Um, and tried to do it that way, especially when the Night of Thousand Tears came around, because we see that Din Djarin is adopted during the Clone Wars. So the children of the Watch, the Covert, were already there and building a foundation before the Night of Thousand Tears ever came into being.
yeah.
So,
Now
um,
the episode ends with excuse me, what was his name again?
Carson
Uh
Tiva.
Tiva. Uh he is coming up on a abandoned, quote unquote, ship. Of course, this
And,
abandoned ship
yep.
was actually attacked. He finds this out, but a little bit of context to the scene. When he was speaking to the New Republic, he had spoken about whispers of Moff Gideon not even making it to court, not even making
Mhm.
it like to make sure that he is imprisoned. Uh, this does confirm it, because when he does get his droid to do a scan inside of the ship, he has no other evidence of any other stormtroopers or anything of the sorts uh, that could have taken him. But he does find one piece of evidence that could lead him somewhere. Um, and this is very, very interesting just to kind of see where they're going to take this. But that piece of evidence that he sees jammed into the wall of the inside of the ship is a shrapnel piece of Beskar. And then the other person on the other side of the comms is saying, "What are you saying that Mandalorians broke out Moff Gideon?" So this is going to have the New Republic going after the Mandalorians as soon as they had just gotten Bo Katan to go searching for more Mandalorians to bring to Navarro.
Yes. Um, so I don't think this should necessarily surprise anybody because we know for a fact Moff Gideon led the Night of Thousand Tears. He was the one who ended up with the dark saber. So other Mandalorians could have been like, we're not going to see any vengeance. Moff Gideon's going to spend the rest of his life in a prison. No, we're going to take it for ourselves. And I think this is where we're going to end up. Not necessarily, but it's going to be a tough explanation for the Children of the Watch, the covert, to
Oh, so
explain
you
away.
you you think that Mandalorians actually broke him out?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I thought that it was more of like framing.
Well, here's my evidence. So there is heavily rumored that Kevin McKidd is going to return in The Mandalorian to play his character from Rebels, which was Finn Rao, which was the leader on Concordia, if you remember. and was kidnapped. He was captured by the Ghost Rider team, and
Oh
then
yes, yeah, yeah,
eventually converted into being a rebel. So there's rumors his character is going to make an appearance. Obviously, there's room for Sabine to make an appearance, because Bo knows she's out there. You could easily go grab her and go, "Hey, what gives? Like, come join the fun." And it'll basically be like a blow off of like, I'm waiting for Ahsoka. I gotta find Ezra.
yeah.
Finn Rao, I think, could easily come and join in. That could be a really interesting move um, for um, for the Children of the Watch to bring in. Bringing somebody in that has a different opinion while also bringing someone in so powerful in the legacy. Um, but then you also have, and I can't remember her name for the life of me, the wrestler chick and the dude from season 2 of The Mandalorian that Bo was traveling with.
Yeah.
Those two could have easily gone in and collected some other Mandalorians and gone, you know what? We're gonna go get him. I need vengeance. So
So Taylor here brings up a very valid point. So let me share my screen. Don't know why I forgot about these guys, but Imperial Super Commandos were basically Mandalorian esque armored individuals. Easily could have
yep,
been Beskar.
yep.
This is why I think like it is framing the Mandalorians without actually framing them. In this case, but a a piece of me does believe that uh through the events that happened at the end of season 2, I think Moff definitely wants his revenge on the Mandalorians, knowing that Bo-Katan is after him and knowing that he was defeated by Din Djarin. Like, he wants his revenge, and he
I think it's I think it's just an easy frame up considering his history with the Mandalorians.
yeah.
I think this is purely a vengeance grab. Um and we could see some others pop in. So yeah,
But I will say great shout, Taylor. Great shout. I like that
yeah.
a whole lot. Anything else on Mandalorian?
The last 3 episodes we have Bryce Howard directing with Jon Favreau writing next episode, so we know next episode's gonna be a banger.
Yes.
She's always had bangers. Let's just be real now. If she doesn't have a banger, I will be disappointed. Then the last 2 episodes, directed by Rick Famuyiwa. First one written by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. So I would imagine if we're going to get any old like Rebels references or Clone Wars references, we're gonna get it in episode 7. Um, and then my thought would be Bo's gonna run into Moff Gideon with a group of Mandalorians and go, crap, what am I gonna do? And then it's gonna end up the season finale is how do they fix things? So
Okay.
that's
I
my thought.
I will wait until we see the first Mandalorians that she does pick up. That's when I will make my predictions on how this is going to go, because I think that there could be a possibility that Sabine does show up for a little bit longer than that of a Zeb did. I think there could
Mm-hmm.
be. There could very much could be. And I think it's very clever what they're doing this season. Of course, with freaking oh my gosh, Din Djarin, actor, Pedro
Pedro
Pascal
Pascal.
being off site doing The Last of Us this season. Everybody being in a helmet, like you could easily just have Sabine's armor there and not really have her like the actress there until
I
Ahsoka.
think I think you're gonna want to introduce the actress and just kind of say this is who you're looking for Sabine. It gives
Okay.
you time to kind of get used to it, but also go. oh, that's Sabine, you know, maybe I want to watch Rebels before Ahsoka comes out and kind of
True. And
gets more viewers.
I would really like for Sabine to interact with Din Djarin, just because of the history of the Darksaber and, possibly getting a little bit better training than, Din has gotten with the saber so far, or the lack thereof. And so I think it would be really fun.
What do you think now, kind of, because we're here, we have seen everything from the trailers. The last 3 episodes, complete mystery. What do you think now of the potential rumor of the Bo Katan show? Are we getting the Book of Bo Katan next year?
I I could say I could see it. And the reason why is I feel like we have been getting, of course, the entire season. Like, I think every single episode has had her. Of course, the uh I'm forgetting everybody's name. I do apologize. Uh
Who,
uh
who are you trying to reference?
Bo-Katan, uh freaking actress. Names are
Katie
escaping me.
Sackhoff.
Sackhoff. Um, Katie Sackhoff has been doing a ton of press and interviews. Uh, and not saying that people didn't know who she was, because she was a very big sci-fi individual uh, in the past, um, and she has a history of it. But I do think that it is very, very, what you call it? I guess plausible for her to be wanting to get more and more in the limelight, especially with how important her character has become this season. And I think people, especially if our predictions do come true, with her really fighting for the role of the leader of Mandalore, I do think that they could easily make that a series, as far as either her rise to that leadership, or if she gets that leadership here in the season 3 finale, or wherever in the season of The Mandalorian, having a show about her leadership, for sure, I think would be very, very fun. And I do think that Katie Sackhoff can lead her own show. So I would not be opposed to it at all. Now, with Katie gone, I'm going to just write this down here. 17 minutes within the hour. We are going to be moving to the Bad Batch, but I won't move on until she gets back. Just make a note here. Cut audio. But yeah, I definitely think that is a possibility. We have one viewer. Don't know if that's you, Taylor, or somebody else. On the game. People thought she'd have made a very good Captain Marvel if she was 5 to 10 years younger. I definitely believe that she could have. Um, I do think she is a leading lady, 100%. Um, but Katie, what do you think? Do you think that she could very much have her own show, and lead, as far as Katie Sackhoff and of course Bo-Katan?
Yeah, I think absolutely. She's done a ton of work this season. She's got a great personality. Heck, she's leading the promo for The Mandalorian right now. And like the talk show host and everything. So I think she's perfect. Um, I don't know if I necessarily want to see a full-blown show, but I could definitely see hey, the Book of Bo-Katan, like something very similar to Boba Fett. And obviously, y'all, we still don't know if we're gonna get a Book of Boba Fett season 2. I don't know what we'd get in a Book of Boba Fett season 2, but I do hope Tamir Morrison and oh my gosh, I can't remember her name, Fennec Shun, actress
Oh,
Milan. Um,
um,
I do hope we get to see them come back because they're perfect. So yeah, that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it.
well, and that could be the big surprise that we haven't seen in the last 3 episodes is an appearance of
Yeah,
Finnick and Boba Fett, right?
we're
Um,
going back to Tatooine next episode.
I wouldn't say that. Um, like
Ding
just
that win. Thank you all in the game.
yes, but do you like with how much of a because I will say this now, of course, Travis Snell, being the Debbie Downer that he is still thinking that Mandalorian is a snores fest. Um, but I think this episode was at a high point. I think this episode was a very good episode. Not
Hmm.
just because of the cameo, but because of where we left off, the questions that we have, and what does this mean for Bo Katan's character? Where does this leave the rest of the Mandalorians and how they trust the armor for making this decision? Like all of this, I think that it does progress this show in a very interesting way. And how we get to the next step is going to be even more interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
But
I just
moving
realized I
on,
still have my time lapse going for Instagram because I'm doing that kind of thing today, and I should have paused it. I went to go get more water because I was out of water. We're gonna be going for like another hour and a half,
probably an
maybe.
hour and a half. Yeah. So going on to the Bad Batch, the finale, the two-part finale,
Yes.
should I say? Um, Katie, there is a lot of emotional damage that Star Wars has done to us via cartoons, via comics, via TV shows, via movies. But for a show that in the GOA collectively, season 1, we thought this show was nearly garbage.
Yep.
And I wouldn't say completely unnecessary to the Star Wars lore in the Skywalker saga, but it didn't bring us a lot of joy. The Bad Batch almost seemed like the cameo show, right?
Yeah.
When season 1 ended. By season 2, I feel like now we are too attached. Um, with some things that happened here. Uh,
All right,
so
y'all. So if you wanted too long, didn't read on the plot summary, here it is. Saul Guerrero appears, does his thing where he explodes things regardless of what anyone else thinks. Tech dies because of that, and Omega gets kidnapped by Dr. Hamlin. You and apparently Omega has a sister. That would be the too long didn't read.
yeah,
Would you
that's
agree, disagree?
no, that is 100% the very short, hey, these are the key points of this two-part finale, if you do not care about this show. Now,
Oh,
the
there was one more thing. I'm sorry. There was one more thing. And this is very important. Um, Sid's a little bitch, like Katie
I
told
was
you in season one.
Katie, what did I say? What did I say? I predicted this. I predicted this. I predicted this. Katie,
I didn't think it was gonna happen like
as soon
now.
as soon as I saw her, as soon as I saw her, she didn't even open her mouth. And excuse me for the language. If you have little ones, please plug their ears or turn down the volume really quickly. As soon as I saw her, she didn't even open her mouth. I said, "Fuck you, Sid." And then she started to like try to be consoling and stuff. And then I said it again. And then she started to kind of like, well, not even then. So what happens is Echo notices that the Empire is there.
Comms are jammed.
As soon as that happened, I said, F you, Sid. And then she started talking to Wrecker, and I said, F you, Sid. And I was so angry. I didn't want to be right in this particular moment. Because I had said the last time we talked about Sid, I said there was going to be a moment where she was going to possibly turn on them because of them not returning her calls or working for
What?
her and being her dirty little henchman or whatever. Like I knew this was going to happen, but I didn't think it was going to happen this season. What I thought, see, this is technically true.
Both agreed that like Sid was kind of going to be a bad guy in season 3.
Yeah, we thought that this was going. We kind of called it. We thought that Sid calling the Empire was going to be the cliffhanger of season
Yep.
2. That is not the case, clearly. Um, so let's go to the point of the big thing is they are needing to go to, of course, the place where they have all the clones, where they have them in prison. They're going to go save Crosshair, and it is heavily fortified. They go there, they notice that it's heavily
Well,
fortified.
they don't go to Mount Tantus. They figure out that Dr. Hemlock is going to be at a meeting
That's it. Yeah.
with Tarkin and a couple other representatives of the Empire, just kind of going basically a budgetary meeting is what it boils down to.
It essentially is, yes.
And we have an appearance here, a cameo, I guess, by Dr. or Commander Krennic at this point. He's not a director, he's Commander Krennic, who is voiced by the one and only Ben Mendelsohn.
I need to know when you told me this, because as soon as they said Krennic, I was like, hold the phone, because the very first time you see him in this episode, it's kind of like from an angle from like
Yep.
the back of his ear on the right hand side. So you don't really see the shape of his face. You kind of tell the color of his hair. So I was like, oh, this will be a good moment in one of those, and kind of like, oh, is the same actor playing? Is this really continuity, or are they going to play with it a little bit, you know? Because
Yeah.
I don't care what you guys think. Middleton is a great actor, and I think he's a big get. I think that a couple years ago, I haven't seen him as much of anything recently, but from like 2014 to 2020, he was like the big dog in Hollywood, especially in streaming services. He was like a big face that was just popping up everywhere. His agent was working double time. Um, so when I saw him or heard his name, I was like, oh, he's not going to have any speaking roles. And then he talked, but he was talking so damn low, I couldn't understand or hear him correctly. So I didn't know if it was actually Middleton playing the character.
Yeah. I didn't get it until the second time I watched it through. Especially because like originally I was like, oh, that's Admiral Yularen. Like they pulled in ISB basically. No, this was Project Stardust, which I don't know why I'm not surprised. Tarkin does a lot with Project Stardust between the Thrawn novels and Tarkin and Lords of the Sith. So he's heavily involved within that. And obviously you come to see it in Rogue One too, where he takes control of the Death Star and kills Krennic. So
My thing is,
mhm.
how much do you think they paid him? He spoke all but 3 words, 4 words. Like that was it. Like, is this like, hey, we need to ask for a favor, or
I
does
think
he
they
have a
just
quote
pulled.
on this?
I think they just pulled him off a Secret Invasion and said, "Hey, go say a line," or "Hey, in ADR, say this line."
Oh, I guess they would have been filming Invasion at this time when they were working on this, or maybe even preparing for it.
Yeah,
I guess so.
and I
Yeah.
mean, like we've kind of been over this, but I didn't get these 2 episodes when I watched the full season, so maybe this came in late and they needed the time to work it in.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That could definitely be it, honestly. Um Probably, I mean, overall, we all agreed on how like weird the scheduling for this season was, the pushback on it, and all this other stuff. But I think it was very cool that they got him to voice it. Um, but I didn't even catch it when the one of the Imperial soldiers tells one of the generals or commanders, oh, and there's cameras turned off on an entirely other sector. And
Mhm.
in my mind, I'm like, dude, they are thinking so ahead. They're like, okay, we're gonna turn off all the cameras. They're not gonna, they're not gonna get caught. This is great. The Bad Batch is on their game. This is great. There's a little bit of a suspenseful moment with Omega getting cornered inside of a hangar,
Yep.
trying to lay down. Uh, it wasn't a
The
charge,
homing
but
beacon to
a
try and
homing
find
beacon. Yeah,
Mount
yeah, yeah,
Terrace.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that got a little bit stressful. But when like even Tech mentioned, oh, another camera is off, and I would thought that's weird. Why would you say that about something you literally did yourself? And then that's when they see Saw Gerrera, and things start to hit the fan. And of course, like me, I recently read Rebel Rising. I know all of Saw's tricks, how he cares about himself first and his hate against the Empire because of
Mhm.
course, what happened to his sister and everything else. Like, it pissed me off that, like, everything would have been okay if it wasn't for Saw. Everything would be a fun. Like, we would have the entire Bad Batch if it wasn't for Saw. And the reason why
Yep.
I say that, uh, when shit hits the fan, the trolley, the train line, is under attack. The one that they are in, and it is getting off the rail. And great line delivery, by the way,
Mhm.
when it comes to this line. When Tech, I knew something was going to go bad. I knew something was going to go bad.
Yeah, because looking at it on the second watch, you have the long conversation with Tech where Tech doesn't go, "Oh yeah, like yeah, I'll be back." Like it's not that big a deal. With Fee, and then when he goes to basically delay the sensor, I guess, um, and he zooms onto the cart, he's on the back of the trolley, whereas everybody else in the
Is
Bad Batch is
on.
on the side.
Mhm. Just like
And
small little direction things that the animation did, he is
mhm,
separated from the team the entire time, in these
yep.
small moments. Um, and it's just foreshadowing. It's really really great. It's awesome. I love it. But he is on his grappling and he is climbing. Wrecker is like, gotta hurry. Like, we gotta get out of here. And he says, I I'm climbing as fast as I can, and I'm not gonna make it. And he says, what does he say? He
Wreck
says,
Wrecker tells him, um, "Tech, you need to get up. Like, get up here." And Tech goes, "We were never any good at following orders."
yeah. It's it's it is the saddest shit ever. And the episode is called, this is the last episode, it's called Plan 99. And that's what he says. He takes out a blaster, he aims it towards the line, and he just yell. He doesn't yell, he says it very silently. He says, Plan 99. He shoots the rail. Wrecker, I this is why I love Wrecker. He is a giant teddy bear. He is literally trying to hold half of the train up because he doesn't want to lose Tech. And the front half of the train falls slow motion with Tech. We're losing him at this point. Like, again, we will
I
talk
have
about our predictions later,
I
but
have to ask the question. Where was his damn, like, automatic grapple hook blaster thing? Because he
he
specifically
attached it to him.
no, when he's falling, he uses a regular grappling hook.
He uses his gun. The
He
his
doesn't.
Okay, hold on. Let me look at it. Let me look at it.
While he
So
looks at that, all in the game, we actually talked about this last week. Um, but just to kind of like summarize our thoughts, this happens in the movie industry. Star Wars, when they were building movies, has had a lot more leaks, but also um things happen.
Oh,
So
he does use a regular grappling hook.
yes,
He takes it off of his belt and slams it against the grate.
yep. And all in the game. I believe Clay put timestamps in the last episode if you're looking specifically for our thoughts on that. But yeah, go check out last week's episode.
So he oh well, hold on.
Yeah, he pulls a grappling hook out of his belt and sticks it on the tram.
I'm trying to see if his holster is empty because that's where it
Well,
would be.
because
It
he
would be
pulls out the blaster. He pulls out a blaster to shoot the extension thing.
yeah. See, I can never okay, so grapplinks in Star Wars are all different. Some have
Yeah.
guns, some have wrist grapplings like the Mandalorians and things like that. I can't remember which one Tech had or if this was
He
literally
had
the
a he
only
had a
one.
blaster
He had a
because
blaster grappling hook?
yeah, and
Oh,
he
because he
used
used
it
it in
he
the
used
beginning
it
of
to
the
get
episode.
back. Yeah, he uses it to get back onto the rail.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Ooh.
where was his blaster? Because the explosion, he was literally holding it in his hand. So did he just lose it and is using his backup there? But also, why didn't like any of the others pull out their sticky grapplers and just say, "Hey, I need you to swing this way," and just try and build up some momentum to get you onto this side of the car?
So he must have lost it a long time ago because he climbs up above the train and then jumps across to the panel to get everything up and running.
Right, but on the way back, he uses the hook because when he goes to the panel is below the rail. So he can jump across, but he can't jump back because the rail is higher than the panel.
That's what I'm saying. Like he must have lost it a long time ago because even like him climbing up, like he could have used it again. Like he uses Hunter for the boost, he climbs up. He could have easily used the grappling hook to get to the very top of that also, just for
No,
speed.
so go to the beginning of the next episode because you're at the wrong part.
No, you're saying the beginning of episode
Of Plan
50.
99.
Yeah, I'm at the
Plan
beginning of
99.
Plan 99.
Yeah, so when he jumps from the platform to the line,
He just jumps though.
he
He doesn't.
no, he doesn't. He uses the grappling hook.
Okay, hold on. He's on top of the train. He's running. He's running. Okay, we see him kind of lose his balance. He gets up. He looks at the panel. He braces himself and he jumps. He does not use the grappling hook.
No, so when he jumps back from the panel to the rail,
Okay, let me
Clay's too
scroll.
tired, y'all.
No, no, no. Okay, so here it is. Hunter blows the ship up, saving Tech some time. And so, oh wait, what the heck? I didn't. I scrolled too fast.
Come on, Clay. Get your shit together.
I'm see. I wish this had like a small little like scrub thing that I could like,
Yeah.
because I don't see. Okay, this is where they hear the ships. Okay, he's monitoring the power to see if they have it.
Uh-huh.
I don't think he uses the grappling. I mean, in
Just to
retrospect,
watch
he
it.
kind of has to because it's like lower. So I believe you in some capacity, but I just don't remember seeing it. So he tells Echo, "Okay, punch it." He gets they have it turned on, and he uses the grappling. Yes, he uses the grappling. Now he's running on the rail. Let's see if he drops it. That's the thing. If he drops it, then that's your answer, right? But so I think he did. So the blast had him fall back and he lost everything in his hands. So he lost the
Okay.
grappling hook.
So he lost the grappling hook. Sure. But why didn't they go, hey, like, what can I do to get you? Can we shoot the panel out and then like grapple you and like stick the grappler to you?
So the way that I'm looking at it, like shooting the panel would have been super dangerous because blaster bolts would be heading straight towards Tech. Like there's and the they could if they could probably save him if they weren't heavily under attack easily.
Yeah.
But with the situation at hand, Tech knew that he had to do what he had to do, execute Plan 99, and it is a badass sacrifice. I'm going to admit. Like this
Yeah.
like and it's heartbreaking because like you said there's the moment with him and Fee.
He bonded to Tech so much this season.
Yeah. Like there was so much and like I'm not going to be the guy that's like, "Oh, of course they kill the one person that's on the spectrum." Like, no, I'm not going to do that. I think that this was inevitable for the Bad Batch. The one thing that I teased, and we're going to talk about it in our Cataclysm review, or if you've already listened to it, you've heard me say this. Like, I want a good ending. I want a happy ending for at least some characters in Star Wars, and there's never a happy ending for Star Wars characters. So I think that this was inevitable.
Yeah.
Now,
And
Katie
it sucks.
having her tinfoil hat on. There's no
I'm in
body.
denial.
She
What if
is
he
in
was
denial.
caught by one of the V Wings and then Hemlock like destroyed his goggles and was like, ha,
I
like
think
shoved it
Katie,
in your
in
face?
all honesty, because the rest of the episode, this is like all the stuff that we're talking about is literally in the beginning of this last episode. That is it.
Mhm.
The rest of the episode is Hemlock searching for them, taking Omega, Omega finding out that that she has a sister. I'm thinking that Omega is based off of her. Like her DNA, her clone DNA is based off of her. She's the original.
So Wikipedia, because I looked at Wikipedia because we were trying to figure out like Matt was like, what if it's a modification of the Jango Fett DNA and Nalise's brain put
That's
together?
weird.
That he was like, this is crazy. It's probably not going to happen. But what if it was this? So that's what he said. Wikipedia stated that the doctor, I can't remember her name, and she's not a doctor, but the
The
woman who
scientist.
says, yeah, the scientist who goes, well, I'm your sister, um, that she is another female clone of Jango Fett, but there's nothing like written down to say that. I think season 3 we're gonna get a lot of information on who Omega is and what happened and why she's so special. That's gonna be the storyline as because I think the Bad Batch is going to go through a process to figure out because they don't know where Mount Tantus is. They don't know why they've taken Omega because other than what Hemlock said, now Hunter didn't believe that Nalise was alive. So they don't know where Mount Tantus
Hunter
is. They don't know where anything is.
Hunter is going to be a very angry father.
Hmm.
He is going to essentially be uh freaking Liam Neeson. I
Yep.
don't know where you've taken my daughter, that whole line, but I will
Yep.
find you and I will kill you. That is Hunter season 3. Um and the reason why I do not think Tech will be magically alive or survived this finale is because it ultimately just destroys this masterpiece of his sacrifice.
Yep.
Um, I and yeah, you can be like, oh, but they have a magic happy ending, and Omega's gonna be happy. Like the line delivery here when she finally wakes up and she is very in a haze, and she's like, oh, the last thing I remember is wait, where's Tech? Where's Tech? I like go get Tech. And
Mhm.
Hunter says he didn't make it.
And he
And
offers up that happy ending we were talking about. He's like, Wrecker and I think it's just the best idea to go back to Pabu, quit being soldiers, and build a life there.
like and she just starts crying and he says, "I know, kid. I know."
Mhm.
It's heartbreaking. And
Yeah.
I don't think you go through this much emotion, especially for us as an audience, and then just say, "Ah, he's back. It's fine."
Now, here's the question though. We are talking about clones.
Had a quick thought, and I would hate this more if they basically had a new tech. Like somehow, some way, they have whether it be text memories or
Somehow, Tech has returned.
basically it would basically be that, but with a new tech, and he would think he was the same, but everybody would know that he's different. I don't know if I would like that.
Yeah. That's the thing though, is if Hemlock goes, I need Omega to behave, how do I get her to behave? What if he offers to bring Tech back? What if he offers to build her own Clone Force 99?
But he doesn't have to, because Crosshair is right there.
Yes. I know, but
I think
just
that's all
throwing
he
out things.
needs. Just saying like, oh, all clones are your family, but your closest family is right here. Like, yeah, he betrayed y'all and everything else, but y'all were willing to come and try to save him.
Yeah.
So are you still gonna behave, or do I need to, you know, do something to Crosshair? And I think
Yeah.
that'll put her in line.
It's a good thought. Um, I guess the last thing I have as far as maybe like a prediction for where season 3 is going, I don't think Echo's gonna go back to Rex as soon as he wanted to. I think he's gonna get the ship back and like the Marauder's gonna follow him. So because Echo drove his own ship over to Pabu, I think Echo is going to be like, no, I have to find Omega. And he has to set things right. So I think that's how you get Echo back. Echo got to go on his own little adventure for a little bit, but now he's back. So
I My prediction, like I said, I think that both Hunter and Wrecker and Echo, technically, because he is back with the team, they're all angry fathers, or angry brothers, depending on how you see it. Um, and I think we're going to possibly, dare I say, even see a like interrogation torture scene of how to get to Tantus to get to Omega. I think that we're gonna see Hunter in a very dark place. Um,
yeah,
Either in the beginning or by the end of season 3 to get Omega. And that was the thing. One of my reasonings of like not wanting a season 3 was, oh, I don't want like Omega to be taken, and I don't want to just have her, come back by episode 1 so we can have the family together. Yeah, forget everything that I said. Um I want a season 3. I don't want Omega back by the first episode.
yeah,
I need her to stay. I need her perspective on things. If they have specific episodes to have her perspective on Mount Tantus to like learn everything that the Empire is doing, good. I need that. But I don't need Omega back with the Bad Batch until mid-season.
yeah. I think you need to take the opportunity to expand on who Omega is and building her out um to kind of illustrate why she's so special um and really build that heritage. Um the other thing I just wanted to point out, and I kind of forgot about this for The Mandalorian, but both of these episodes, the 3 episodes, whatever you want to call them, are building towards what is happening in the sequel trilogy. We know for a fact that certain people in the New Republic, based on bloodline, believed that the Empire was never dead and that there was something out there that was building that the New Republic needed to be aware of. And we saw that with Carson Teva. And then in Plan 99, uh, Hemlock says, "So you're gonna do this, or she's gonna get hurt. You're gonna do what the Emperor wants, or she's gonna get hurt." And Namaste goes, "It's impossible." And what they're talking about is putting the Force in a clone, in a strand cast. And that's what Palpatine wants. That's what we learned in Shadow of the Sith. That's what we learned in the sequel trilogy. So to all the haters who are like, "Oh yeah, Disney's gonna redo the sequel trilogy, like it's never gonna have exist." Nope, you're wrong. It is coming. More material is coming after it, and it's gonna be a blast. So,
Now, just want to bring up something that Taylor brought up in the Discord this morning with you and him conversing. He believes that everything is leading up to, of course, Thrawn. That being in, uh, of course, Mandalorian, but also, I think this is also leaving some breadcrumbs here.
mhm.
Just I think with the small little, what'd you call it? The meeting. Um, you didn't call it a board meeting. I forgot what you called it.
Thank you,
Uh,
Jerry, the budget meeting.
yeah. So the project meeting. I think even something like that, with listening to the godlike Thrawn in the books that I have read, I think that like you could easily throw him in there to put a very big wrench in what the Bad Batch is wanting to do.
You say that, and I'm not disagreeing with you. He doesn't get to the Empire until about 6. I'm sorry, about 13 BBY.
And we're still in
19. So,
so we have another 6 years.
yeah. So we have
Interesting.
a ways to go before Thrawn can kind of come into the Bad Batch. And now we weren't ever really given a whole lot of time on it, but we know the Imperial Academy is about 2 to 3 years. Thrawn does take it sped up, but then he spends several years building his rank up to that Grand Admiral stature. So uh, he's got a little ways because Thrawn takes place before Rebels, and we know Rebels kind of starts off in the 5 BBY, 3 BBY range. So just kind of keep that in mind with that. The Mandalorian, I mean, I feel like we talk about this every other Mandalorian episode. I've said it. I think it's all leading to Thrawn, and obviously we're gonna see Thrawn in Ahsoka, or we're going to get more mentions of Thrawn in Ahsoka. Um, I still need Gideon resolved. I need to see Gideon because I feel like they've wasted Esposito as a character, as an actor, and I need more of him. So I don't want Thrawn to be the big bad of this season. I need Gideon. Um and Thrawn can be the puppet master because we all know he's a puppet master. That's what he does. But I need Gideon to be the face.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Sticking to it.
Well, let's go ahead and in this episode, of course, if you're still watching on the live, we will be moving to our Cataclysm book review. But of course, you can always find me on the social medias, that being at Fanboy Clay on Twitter. Look me up on Mastodon as well. Um, Again, we are doing a giveaway. So here on the YouTubes, the hotline, 1-830-538-4828. Leave us a text or a voicemail on your thoughts about Mandalorian, on the Bad Batch finale, your predictions for Bad Batch season 3, um, any and everything that we can discuss here on Star Wars Alliance, and we will either have it play here if it's a voicemail on the episode or read it out loud, give you a little shout out. Or you can always send us an email at starwarsalliance@gmail.com. Of course, the A in wars is not there. It's StarWarsAlliance. CE. Ugh. Too many S's. Too many S's. SSSSCE@gmail.com. But
And
the
remember, that
we'll also
giveaway ends April 19th.
yes, and of course the other shows that I'm a part of course, being Ranger Alliance. And then off the network is a show called Batman News Weekly. So go check those out. Katie, what about you?
Y'all, you can find me on any social media platform. It's at Slice of Katie. If social media were to explode, then find me at my personal website. It's sliceofkatie.com. That will also be where I tell you where the show will be. And where my other show on the Geek Ultimate Alliance podcast network, Slice of Film, will be. Recent episodes for Slice of Film includes John Wick Chapter 4, which I reviewed with Mark. And I forgot to tweet that, so I'm gonna try and tweet it tomorrow. Coming, we've got Dungeons and Dragons and Mission Impossible 3 on Monday. So those are episodes to check out. Also got Mission Impossible 4 in the pipeline. Indiana Jones, not Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Last Crusade. Katie, come on, get it together. So that is what's upcoming for April, and then I think we got one more new movie episode. Renfield, I think, is what we're gonna do for April, and that will top us off. And I don't know what we're doing for May. So Star Wars Alliance, y'all. If you're listening on your podcast feed and you haven't checked it out, our Cataclysm review will be live. As always, you can go check out our previous High Republic reviews by searching the book title in your favorite podcatcher and Star Wars Alliance, and that will pop up those reviews if you're looking to catch up. The for April, we've got Mandalorian reviews. That's about it. So that is what you can expect. And then obviously Star Wars Celebration is next week. So you can expect news on that in 2 episodes. And yeah, so there's that. And then May 4th, obviously, we got Vision Season 2 and Young Jedi Adventures. So let's get pumped, y'all. It's coming. So if you've been here in the live stream or if you're listening on the podcast, I hope y'all have a great day or night, whatever time of day you are listening or watching, and we will see y'all next time. May the force be with you.
All right. Do you need more water or anything, or are you good to go?
Good.
All right.
Actually, let me go grab my Kindle.
All right, we'll do. We will start at the 2-hour mark. That is in 2 minutes. And we will do this Cataclysm review. Of course, High Republic. And I will actually tweet that out right now.
Oh my gosh, my foot is numb. Been sitting on my foot too long.
All right. So before I start it, actually, we're going to tweet out we are starting our hashtag Cataclysm.
Oh, we forgot to shout out Brent. Brent, we love you. Thanks for tweeting at us and responding to the YouTube episode link.
Oh, yeah. We'll message him on in our chat. Okay, we are starting Cataclysm review now. Come check us out. And I'm actually not going to do a new tweet. I'm actually going to do a retweet of the link. Cool. All right. 1 minute at 2 hours is when we will start.
Oh, hey, let me go to Instagram.
and then I will do the intro for this. Won't need to do a whole bunch of news. Just do the whole thing about uh, the crossover episode not happening this month, and that's basically it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Hello and welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Alliance. Of course, I'm your host Clay, and with me on this fine night, it has been a good 2 hours of worth of recording, but we're doing this at the tail end of our normal show. That being, of course, the title here being our Star Wars High Republic Cataclysm review. Of course, I'm here with Katie. Katie, how you doing?
You know, I'm gonna hate myself in the morning because I've been up since 3 a.m. and I am now typically asleep by now.
Do
So,
you have work tomorrow?
yes,
Oh
yes,
my
I
gosh.
do. I
I'm
work
so
Monday to
sorry.
Friday, 8 to
I'm so
5.
sorry. I'm so sorry. But this is going to be a good review. I think that we both have really good tidbits that we want to bring up. Um, we a little spoiler for our other episode that should be on the feed now for those who haven't listened to it yet. We did a tiers list of all of the canon novels. This book being in our masterpiece tier, or of course our S tier of novels for Star Wars. So that gives you a little bit of insight of what we thought about this book. But Katie, this is a lot. This is
Oh my
you
gosh,
told
it's so
me
much.
you finished this book a long time ago. Um,
Yes, I read it back in February.
I I just recently finished it, and I finished it for a second time, listening to the audiobook that was graciously given to us, of course, from Random House Worlds. And you were not joking. You said that this was going to be a heavy book that you needed to very much uh be in the know of this phase, that being, of course, you had to have read the Battle of Jeddah, and then you had to have read Convergence. I think it tells you what you need to know in both of those books. Like if you just read Cataclysm, you get enough context from what is given, like substance wise, in this book to know the gist of what happens in both Battle of Jeddah and Cataclysm. But just reading them both, reading this gives you the full picture, and it really, really helps with the character development of all of our characters. Of course, there is too many handfuls of characters that are returning from each of those novels. Uh,
And I think that's our biggest critique for this book, is it not?
yes, each I am almost willing to say that every single chapter has almost two or three perspectives in each chapter. Um, it can get a little confusing. You are getting all over the place, but in the instance of this particular book, you are looking at, I would say, one, two, three, four, five, six different settings. Um,
Mhm.
Iram Arano, their moon, Dalna, of course, just like
Jeddah and
Jeddah
space
and
and
space
Coruscant.
and Coruscant. So seven. There is a lot happening in this book. Um, but do you want to just go beat by beat? Like, where are you wanting to go in this review here?
So let's go ahead and talk about the perspectives thing just to kind of get it out of the way. I started counting the number of perspectives, and y'all, I was so swamped in the past 3 weeks that I really didn't get to take as many notes as I wanted to, but I did get my second read in, which was the most important thing. So you have probably. 6 Jedi perspectives. I want to say because you have Yaddle, Sippa, Crate, Gela, Yoda. So that's 5, and then I think there's one more in there. Inya, and then you have Kion Greylark, you have Axel, you have Beno, which I'm totally screwing that up, and then you have the mother. And like I think I may be missing like 3 to 4. Like Clay said, you were changing perspectives very regularly. This is a 32 chapter book according to
Yes.
the advanced reader's copy that we got. Um, so it's a lot to put into 32 chapters, and this is hefty. It comes in again in the advanced reader's copy we got. It's 368 pages.
Hmm.
Um, so it is definitely hefty. Um, but I don't think anything's wasted. As much as I hate the multiple perspectives and it can be hard to follow, it's desperately needed to give you all of the context for this Night of Sorrows on Dalna is what I think it's called.
I think for me, in my ADHD brain, and also just like wanting to always just go to the action or like get answers to what I had just read or listened to. Um, One thing that always bugs me is, of course, and no hate to any of the writers, this is something that they have to do to give us readers a visual on what these worlds are. When they open up a chapter with like a crap ton of description, like I'm just like, okay, like you could have just put in 2 or 3 sentences. Let's keep going. Let's keep a
Yeah.
move on here. That's another small critique that I have. Like there is at one moment, and I would just say the small little tease or spoiler. We get to Chancellor Greylark, Kyung Greylark, and she is like not in Chancellor's clothing, and they being the writer, which let me go ahead and get that
Lydia
name.
Kang.
Li-
Dr. Lydia Kang. Excuse
Yes,
me.
Dr. Lydia Kang. She describes this in a way to show you that Chancellor Greylark is not just a chancellor. She had a past. She is okay with getting down and dirty, and that really pushes her character forward with that third and final act of the book. Uh,
I love Kyong in this. Like, I want to have Kyong's babies. Like,
uh, Kyung did one of the greatest things she could have done in this book. That I was literally like fist pumping when I read it, and it was just like even when I was listening to it, like I got chills. It was so good, but we'll get there. There's a lot of great stuff in here. The perspectives, like you said, uh, did get a little confusing at times. Um, I think for me, like there I think you're right. I'm trying to see if there or trying to remember if there was ever a perspective that I kind of got annoyed at or anything. There's a minor character in here, which is a Jedi youngling or a Padawan youngling. I don't even
Anya?
think she's a
Or no, the
no,
Sippa. Sippa.
Sippa. Yeah, Sippa isn't even she is just a youngling. She hasn't even given the title of Padawan yet, I don't believe.
Yeah,
Who is being
she's
looked
being pulled
after
in by Yaddle,
Yaddle.
to come join the temple.
But she has like maybe 1 or 2 very small chapters of perspective. And even that, it's so you know what she is feeling in a very dire situation. And I still enjoyed that as well. Um, but yeah, great book. I think I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there. Very easily, and this could be recency bias. Um, Very easily could be persuaded for a 10 out of 10 on this book.
Yeah, I think same thing for me. Um, because yeah, the perspectives thing, I think it had to happen. Um, but this is like an amazing finale, and I love how it ties in to Battle of Jeddah as well as Convergence. the quote on the back of the cover, by the way, which I've seen on Twitter. I love it. Um, it's great. So, um, yeah, I'm so excited to like get this book officially on my shelf. Um, but also for other people to read it and just see the conversation that comes out of it. Because quite frankly, and it is the Night of Sorrow on Dalna that takes place in this book, King rates one of the most beautiful action, like it's the entirety of the third act. Pretty much, yes. But it is a gorgeous, like articulate battle that she writes, and I'm just in love.
And the thing is, I was trying to compare it to something that we have read before, and and even in a visual sense of just like what have we watched in Star Wars that could be like sort of the equivalent to this. Like it is quite easily the ending of Attack of the Clones. Like when you see
Yeah.
the Colosseum fight and you kind of get out of the Colosseum and you see the clones fighting the droids, and it's like almost like planetary level of war. That's what we get to at the end of this book. And
Yep.
it's almost like because it happens, the progress of how the dominoes are falling in this book, it gets way out of hand. And when I say way out of hand, not in the sense of Lydia Kang writing wrongly, but the choices that our characters are making and the planning that the people of Dalna, and I will not spoil who really creates this madness, but what happens on Dalna uh, was very much prepared for, and it turns into a bloodbath, a very terrifying bloodbath. Um,
And just the detail in like the depths, and this is where I think the Sippa perspective really comes in handy as a youngling who is very strong in the Force, because that's why she was brought here. She was on a relatively unknown planet. It was revealed she was Force sensitive, and she's like an Anakin age almost. So
mhm.
she's brought in at an older age, and Yaddle is working with her, but at the same time, she doesn't have the capabilities that most younglings would have. And like, okay, this is what you feel. Like the leveler, the great leveler, as a matter of fact, is working through this battle because there's so many Force users, and you can just, oh, it's so like haunting
Was
getting
there
their deaths
the
revealed.
leveler? The
Yeah.
leveler. Just want to go ahead and throw this out there. Did they tease that there is more than one?
So I believe that's what Quest for Planet X is going to, because remember in Eye of the Storm, Markion Rowe um takes his guys to this planet and they pull in more levelers. So I think that's what Quest for Planet X is going to go into.
So wait, that makes so much sense. Planet X is the planet of, like, I can't remember the name or
Yeah.
if they even gave it a name
I don't think they gave it a
in
name.
yeah. So, hmm, that's gonna be very interesting.
Because it's not the Everini homeworld.
No, it's not.
So
No, no, no. Yeah. Ooh, okay. Then I'm interested then, because if that is so, I am very interested in reading Quest for Planet X, just because it sounded like, and it very much seemed like there was multiple levelers there tacking on a grand scale. And I do think one of the weirdest things that happens in this book is it feels like there should be a TV tie-in and a comic book tie-in and quite possibly another tie-in, because in the moment that certain characters learn of other characters on the same planet, we never got perspective of that before. And
and
there
I think that's where Edge of Balance 3 is gonna come in. I don't think the Marvel comic is going to come into play. I think Young Jedi Adventures is going to come into play.
okay. Like there
But again, this is where the comic delays are hindering the story
yes.
being told for phase 2.
Yes. And I do think that the almost in a sense, because when looking at phase 2, the only books that need to come out are, of course, this book, uh, Planet X, and Vengeance, and that's it?
Yeah, that is the remaining books, and then you have Edge of Balance 3, which is due out in May. That is the manga. Um, we're on, I think, High Republic issue number 7 came
Mhm.
out today. So you have 3 more issues left in that series. The Blade finished today as
Today.
well.
Mhm.
And then Young Jedi Adventures, which has 5 issues to
I
release.
The way that I think people should be looking at this, and I'm gonna go ahead and make this guess, if I'm wrong, then I'm willing to say that I'm wrong at the end of this. I think everything is supposed to accumulate to Cataclysm, with Path of Vengeance being our epilogue.
Yeah.
I think that's how it's supposed to be read. Um,
Well, because Path of Vengeance was always set to come out last. It comes out first week of May.
yeah,
So, uh yeah, I can see what you're talking about, but we still need that wrap up and it comes out May 2nd, by the way. I finally looked at the calendar. I think we still need that wrap up for Marta and Yana Row.
but I think Path of Vengeance will be that.
Right, but you said everything leads to Cataclysm, and then Edge of Balance is supposed to be that block.
Oh, did I say Edge of Balance? I meant Path
I
of
thought you
Vengeance.
said that.
Sorry.
Okay.
No, I think that Path of Vengeance will be the epilogue. I think Edge of Balance, the Star Wars Adventures, I think everything leads to Cataclysm, and then that's how you should look at Phase 2, and
Okay.
then Path of Vengeance is the epilogue that ends Phase 2, that leads us into, oh, so that's why this happened in Phase 1. I think
Okay.
that's how we're
Yeah,
gonna look at it.
I I would agree with you there, and I'm sorry if you did say Path of Vengeance. The sleep deprivation is probably getting to me.
Well, we can go ahead and start wrapping, well, not wrapping things up, but we can kind of, I guess, essentially get started
Yes.
on
I
some things
We're
here.
gonna try not to reveal any specific deaths, y'all. And try to talk around like some of the major plot points, like something that happens to Kyung. Just because obviously we want you guys to experience this for yourselves, but we're gonna kind of talk through how we get to Dama and then what
Yes.
the general things that happen on Dama.
Uh, well, first, I think the really big thing is that we meet a new character, via the Path of the Open Hand, that is essentially, uh almost a new replacement to the Herald, but not as much of a leader. That being Binot. He is definitely the one that is almost even a grunt worker for the mother.
Mhm.
And we've learned that he has a pretty big history with Axel Greylark, and we've learned that Axel Greylark and Bennett and the path. See, when I heard the Path of the Open Hand in this phase 2, I always thought the Path of the Open Hand was a newer organization throughout the galaxy, not an
Yeah.
old one. But the way that it was described in this book, this was always something that was slowly coming up and coming. Um,
See, and that's where I think because the mother's name is Alicia Dev is it I got it pulled up. Hang on. Um Dev Deveron. Oh my gosh.
let's see
I
here.
had it and then I totally missed it. Um
Zeveron,
Zeveron.
Zeveron.
Yeah. So Alicia Zeveron I think came into the path and it was just a general church kind of thing. Not necessarily a cult, but it was something like what we've seen in Alphabet Squadron, or the Church of the Force, and just kind of something where they said, oh, the Force should not be manipulated. And they kind of just stuck with that and tried to preach the quote gospel out to everyone. But Alicia had her daughter. We don't know if it's her daughter, but Olivia. Um, Olivia was taken from Alicia in some way, shape, or form, and Alicia said, "I'm not going to allow this to stand," and took the path of the open hand and manipulated it to where it was not just the Force should not be manipulated; it was the Jedi are evil,
Yes.
and went in that direction.
The uh the thing with Bennett, though, we learn very quickly, like I said, the grunt worker for the mother, his task is to essentially, hey, we need to start this war again between Irem and Arano. Um, they basically go disguised as just traitors that are actually like terrorists, and it's a
Yeah,
crazy
they
mess
go to
that ends up.
they
Go
go to
ahead.
manipulate the war back into starting
Yeah.
on Irem and Arano. Um, and because Irem and Arano don't know yet that the peace talks failed on Jeddah and that riots broke out. So it is the catalyst that allows Irem and Arano to start back up. That's only then amplified when they get news that the peace talks failed on Jeddah.
And this book essentially happens during the Battle of Jeddah. I think that it
Yep.
happens at the same time, or like while the
The
Battle
very
of
end.
Jeddah is ending, then
Yeah.
Cataclysm is starting. Because I think it's at a moment where both of the chancellors, uh, 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 oh shoot, it's Greylark
Morrow and
and
Greylark.
yes. When at one point in the beginning of the book, when they are talking, like all of these hollow vids come up and assistants are running towards them, telling them about what happened at Jeddah. So we clearly see, okay, this is happening in real time. Um, this, of course, gets Ziri and Fontu very heavily involved because they spent all of Convergence trying to, make things peaceful. Of course, very merry group of Jedi are also in this book. Inya, Creighton, no, not Creighton's son. He was in Battle of Jeddah.
Yeah, no,
But
Creighton's son is in this. Ada Forte,
Ada
Creighton's son,
Forte, Charro
um,
Roy, and of course,
I
Gela.
Enya,
Yeah,
Enya
and
and
Inya.
Gala.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, so Creighton and Ada are kind of your representatives from the Battle of Jeddah. They saw what the path was doing. And they basically send a missive off to Coruscant and are like, we want to go to Dalna. That's where we learned the path of the open hand is from. We want to go investigate and see what they have so we can try and clear the Jedi's name. So those are your representatives from the Battle of Jeddah. Yaddle hasn't really made an appearance so far in the High Republic until now, so she's just kind of your open, powerful Jedi that comes in. Gela, obviously from Convergence, as well as Creighton is in Convergence, but then you have Inya and Master Roy, who are also a part of that discussion, and so they all kind of reunite to figure out what exactly happened. And
Yeah.
the first act of that book of the of Cataclysm is just kind of getting everyone to Dalna.
Yes. Which is wild when you think about the book in retrospect, because you would think, okay, like with a heavy third act war, not just battle but war, like something has to lead to that. And the fact that we spend, I would almost say, 75% of the book in Dalna with certain characters, that is wild,
Yep.
absolutely wild. Um, there comes a point within the battle, where I believe it's in Ada's perspective, and they talk about how like tired she is for the hours of battle that she has uh been in, and it's hard to fathom that, because they do mention at one point that the sun is there. It's a very rainy day to a point where eventually the sun sets, it is night, and then at the end of the book, the sun is rising. So the war that they waged, the battle, took literally all night. And I think you could easily, somebody probably found it somewhere, you could probably see how long a night cycle is on Dalna, and then just put that in perspective of how long this battle took place, and that is
Yeah.
crazy.
And you'd like to think, oh, the Jedi are like the perfect warrior. They can use the Force, recall energy and everything. But I like to think of it how like it is in Aragon. Basically, you can use the Force as long as you've trained your body accordingly. And at some point, your training's gonna give out, your body's gonna give out,
And
and like it's insane.
not only that, you do have the surprise of the fact that still nobody in the Jedi Order knows about the leveler. Um, that
Yeah, they had kind of figured it out on Jeddah, and were kind of like something happened to Force users on Jeddah, but it's
they're only starting to figure it out in the
mhm,
battle right before and then in the middle of the battle of Dalna.
yeah.
Uh which is like, for me, like, I want to say, oh, this is kind of the same stuff that we're seeing in phase 1, but at the same time, like, you kind of have to play with this idea of, like, they didn't know, and it's very important that they didn't know, because phase 1 wouldn't have made sense if they did know, and things like that.
Yeah.
There
Well,
is
and at
something that
the end of
happens at
this
the very Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
at the end of this book, there's a conversation between Yoda and another character. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but they kind of discuss it and like nobody can know about this because it would mean the death of the order.
I personally think that this is a bad call. I think, like, this
Obviously, because it's the repercussions of phase 1.
of phase 1, yes, but I like, it's almost out of character for Yoda. Almost. And I say almost because he is wise, he is going to do whatever he can to help the Jedi and what's best for the order. But I just think that he, with how kind he is in this book, with how much he is willing to help and serve and fight, like, why wouldn't they do something to help the situation? Of course, we're being very vague about this conversation, but I think that it is like, I need answers in phase 3. Like,
Well, and obviously the Yoda we have in I mean phase 1 Yoda, this is 150 years. Yoda's aged that long. We go to the Phantom Menace, we're another 150 years. So Yoda's 800 in this book, give or take.
well, hold on. I thought he was 900, or is he 1,000 in by the
He's
time he dies?
900 in Return of the Jedi.
So he dies at 900.
Mhm.
Okay. So going backward,
You give
he's
you give 50 years, he's 850.
okay.
Or no, he's 550.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Because I think we said the Skywalker saga, Phantom Menace to Rise of Skywalker is about 80 years. So
Yeah. Makes sense. Uh so, like, yes, he does age in the sense of, like, maybe, you know, the older you get, the more you forget. But at the same time, he is a wise Jedi. Like, you know, I
800 years is still a lot of time.
it is. And I think that, in a weird way, and this is me just putting that tinfoil hat, is just like, the older he gets, the more, eventually Creighton's son and other characters that are in this book, like all the other Jedi, like, that survived. I'm just gonna say other characters that survived, to not give away the character that he was talking to. Um, they eventually die off. Like, none of these characters are in Phantom Menace or anything else. So it's more of like a, hey, that secret died with them, and we're good to go, right? But I it just felt very weird. And like I said, I need answers in phase 3 cuz you can't just dangle this thing. You can't dangle the leveler
Mhm.
and as an undefeated villain. I think that is going to be a little bit irritating to
Well,
me.
because we know the Great Leveler. Well, I'm assuming the leveler that Mark Yonro melts in, I think it's Rising Storm. Um, we know the leveler he melts in that is a powerful leveler, and it's supposed to be like the leader and everything. So I'm thinking the Great Leveler, which is the one the mother hatched out of the egg.
Mhm.
We know that one's frozen. So
Yes.
how's it get frozen?
Exactly. Yeah. So very very crazy things. Trying to think okay,
Um,
so new character, new Jedi that is brought into here, that I absolutely love. He
Orin.
yes, Orin. He is I don't know I don't know how to describe him other than he is just hilarious. I don't know who to like compare him to, but with him being the lighthearted, jokey character side by side to a very like almost vengeful Gela
Mm,
in this
yep,
book, it clashes, but in a very symmetrical way.
yep.
Um, I really did enjoy that. Um, and uh want to go ahead and call out your prediction that you had for Cataclysm because of the cover with Axel having the lightsaber. You were both right and wrong. Um, because there are moments. I think one of the very first moments where it happened, um, Gela has the thought of giving Axel the lightsaber, and Oren's like, no, like he even feels it. He's like, you were not gonna do that. So I I love the tease for the cover. It does play a whole lot. I will say there's a moment where Gela loses her lightsabers. Very, very interesting how she gets them back in the perspective of like how she is connected to
Yep.
her lightsabers as a whole. I think that is
Really
very, very
intricate piece
cool.
of lore that Kang is able to throw in, and it's great.
Um, trying to well, what are your some of your favorite pieces that aren't too spoilery for the audience?
Seeing Kyong become not become a mother, but step back into the role of being a mother, is super powerful, especially with some of the portrayals we've gotten of mothers lately and just media in general. I love how Kang is able to really latch onto that, and Kyong is so powerful, and I loved it. Um, Axel, oh my gosh, I still want like Axel and Gala, like
So
the bad boy falls in love.
there's a moment where he does technically profess his love to her, and she just like shrugs it off.
Mhm.
And again, like I said before, with the mindset of like Gela being like almost vengeful in this book, like it's very funny how these Jedi, the ones that we're seeing in phase 2, are almost as strict as the Jedi that we see in the prequel in
Mhm.
episodes 1, 2, and 3. Whereas in phase 1, we had talked about how they seem a little bit more loose on the rules and they're a little bit laid back and things like that. So I wonder if like the stuff that happened in phase 2 is what caused them to be a little bit more laid back, and then the things that happened in phase 1 caused them to be a little bit go back to being strict for the rest of the Skywalker saga. um because there was a moment I thought that Gela was possibly going to kill Axel at one
Yeah,
point in this book.
I did too. And but I knew she was gonna lean more towards sticking in the light, and that's why she became a way seeker in the first place, was to follow her heart and follow her intuition, because she believes that's what the force. That's how the Force is leading her. So, um, I love Gela so much. I'm so thankful like Zoraida was able to put in such a powerful leading Hispanic woman as the star as the leading lady of these two books. And obviously King continued it, but I just they both developed the characters so well. Like I just it's incredible.
I do agree. I love the perspective of her. There's a moment in here also, as I'm sure you probably agreed with this. There's a lot of bickering between Ziri
I
and
love
Fontu.
bickering couples.
But more so I love the bickering because it comes to a conclusion. Um,
Mhm.
there's a moment during the battle in Dalna. And what is the official title of it again?
Night of Sorrow, which
The
obviously they don't name it that right now, but that's what it's known as in phase 1.
Okay. So the Night of Sorrow, there is a moment where Ziri and Fontu basically bumping heads like the entire book, and then it comes down to okay, like we can agree on everything when it comes to like political stuff, but when it comes to marriage, that's just not how it works. And it got very real in that moment. And I just had to smile. I had to crack a smile because guys, there is not a moment that like me and Abby, we will be fine and then we will argue over the dumbest things. The dumbest things. And then I'm always like, and I guess it's a little bit of the toxic masculinity that is just stuck in me as a male, but like I will have this idea of like, I know I'm right, so you have to say that I'm right. Like just say it. That's all you just gotta say that I'm right. And it's this idea of like having to agree when I know she doesn't have to agree with me. I know it.
Yeah.
And this is the conversation that Siri and Fontu are having because it's so important to them because of everything that happened in Convergence, their whole reasoning behind their marriage and how that basically forced upon marriage has turned into an actual loving marriage between two people. And that's what I love more than anything that came out of phase
Yeah.
2 right now is them two actually caring about each other and caring about each other's feelings and caring about the future of both of their planets.
Yep, because it was a fully arranged marriage, and obviously it goes to show you, like, you can find love with anyone and make things work, but they really do come out of the honeymoon phase that we have left them in Convergence, and they're struggling to figure out how to make things work. But and there's a really beautiful quote, and I'm sorry if you want to skip like the next 30 seconds, but this is just like absolutely like pulls you in, and it just like it's the whole theme. And it's something that could be applied to ourselves right now as a universe. Fantu says, "We've been so busy following the blueprints of our mutual destruction that we can't see the obvious, that we can be the architects of good." And oh, there's just such a powerful quote, Kang.
This is
Dr.
the
Kang, like I love
speech
you.
this is the speech that he is giving to Orlin, right? No. Yeah, to the chancellor.
Um, yeah,
Malo.
it's an open transmission, and they're trying to get rescued because they took off in a bad ship. And he basically they're trying to pass this message on um to the king of Arano and the queens of Irem. And that's what he says tomorrow, and he's trying to pass that along, and it's oh.
It's so good. I really enjoyed that. Um and like there's a moment where Ziri's father,
Mhm,
like there's a moment where he's like, okay, like I think the best course of action is this because that's what Ziri would want. But
mhm,
I don't like that immediately after that there is like the ongoing bickering between him and the queens of the other planet to like try to fix the transmissions, the bayous uh in space to have communications. Like that was one thing that I did have a little bit of a gripe with. Like you have this character development with Ziri's father. It's ever so slight, and maybe it could be shown as like a small piece of weakness with him, because he's just really missing his daughter and caring for her. But like to retract that with again saying that they're just going back to petty arguments, as Morrow says, um, was a little disappointing. But I mean, it is what it is.
Well,
Um,
and see, I think at the least, like what should have happened after Convergence is the Queen should have been forced to step down from Irem, and Fantu should have gone ahead and been able to take charge and be the leader of Irem, and that way they could start building to a better future and kind of the Queen's eliminated, she can come in as like a temporary ruler if Fantu's off world or something, but like she's out of power, especially after what she did in Convergence. Like I get
yes.
what she did, but also like, and I think that would have helped alleviate some things, but I think that was a move made by the story group and not
Hmm.
necessarily the author. So,
Yeah. Trying to think of if there was anything else that we did not go over. Um,
um,
we
I
let's see
really,
here.
I really just don't, I'm trying not to talk about some things because I feel like this is a book to be experienced. And you do have to go in and this is like I read it and I told Clay, I was like, okay, just be prepared. There's a lot of perspectives. Like and I think
I
that helps you approach this book differently.
I would definitely say that if you're gonna read it physically, read it slow.
Mhm.
If you're reading it physically, take your time. The audiobook, which also, I'm going to I think I agreed with you the last time, but certainly with this audiobook, um, again, love Random House Worlds, love what Penguin Random House is doing with the audiobooks. Um, the monopoly that Mark Thompson holds on the narration needs to come to an end. I
I
think.
don't yeah, I don't
I
necessarily think like he has to stop, but can we bring in
Well, and
somebody
that's
to
what I
be the
mean.
female
I think
first?
that there needs to be more in there because like there's some voices that I absolutely love. Well, for one, the idea of Binot I thought was a little bit more of like a sly individual, kind of creepy, but like the way that Mark Thompson voices him in this one sounds like he is more like he has like a deep voice, very baritone, and but he kind of still has just like the sly like cunning to him, and it just didn't
Yeah.
feel right to me, but it still works. I understand it. Again, Mark Thompson, love you, love the work that you do. I just think that there needs to be more people available to take turns. Let's be nice. Let's like I know that everybody wants a job, um, and I just because we I'm pretty sure on the young adult novels there is
Yeah, they trade
usually a
off.
female, uh,
Yeah. I think it's
or
January
middle grade. Middle grade is usually a female.
one of the two.
Yeah, one of the
January
two.
Lavoie does a lot of audio narrations, for Disney books.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's who I have in mind.
that's what it might be. Is that the Disney published books is her. Um, but I I love listening to the audiobook all this week. It was really great in production. Um, Trying to think of anything specific that I heard or can touch up on here.
I
Again,
I think
very hard with keeping things very spoiler free. Um, and I 100% agree with Katie. This book is an experience. I think that whoever is taking the time to read these phases will 100% enjoy this book. I think it does have the feeling of that of what the Raging Storm did for us in phase one.
mhm.
Very much that like Empire Strikes Back type feeling. Um, just in the very formulaic Star Wars feeling. So definitely go pick it up for sure.
Yeah. Um, this is high on my list. I like Random House Worlds. Tom, if you're listening, I need Dr. Lydia King back. Like, please just like sign her. I need like 5 or 6 books from her in Star Wars. I need her to continue. Like, please, pretty please, with
And
sugar
if
on
you
top.
don't and if you don't mind just like sneaking us a DM to like letting us know what happens after phase 3 so we know, like again, I said like I believe you, but I also don't believe you because like for because for me, somebody who wasn't in the know of these books, right? Who was never really into the Star Wars novels beforehand. Katie, did you ever have an inkling that they were going to start the High Republic at a certain point? Like like did you feel like, "Oh, they're going to go back at one point or another instead of just continuing this Skywalker saga?"
I did I did think so because looking at it with Star Wars Legends, um, they chose to go out with the Luke Skywalker and Leia and Han and the whole team and everything. And then they got to the point where it was like, okay, you know what? Luke kind of is like if we he was human should probably be dead by now. So slowing down the stories obviously like I think there was like 5 books that got canceled. I think Heir to the Jedi um which is now a canon book, was actually rewritten to be canon because it was originally part of Scoundrels and oh my Legends bookshelf is over there. The Leia book that Timothy Zahn wrote. So I think it was
Um
supposed to be like part of that series. So but if you look at it, what was published actually they started going backwards in time and filling in beforehand. So with Disney trying to go out with the Skywalker saga and continue towards the sequel trilogy, you kind of had nowhere else to go. Like going backwards from the Skywalker saga left you a lot of options and a lot of room to play with instead of trying to go, okay, let's write a Jedi Temple book with Luke Skywalker and see how that goes, but then having to go, but you know what? I actually want Luke in this TV show, which is going to control your storytelling options. So I kind of expected them to go backwards or far forward. So
okay. And we've already made our speculation on them pushing novels to be post Rise of Skywalker. I think
mhm.
that's what our prediction was. So hopefully we're right. I would love to read some novels of like a little bit more of an experienced Ray. Um, a journey on with Finn would be
Yep.
amazing as well. So really looking forward to anything and everything that Star Wars has planned for us. But any last thoughts on Cataclysm before we end this episode?
You need to go pick this up like as soon as it drops on Tuesday. Go to your local bookstore um, and get the word out because this has been great.
I am very disappointed in the fact that I did not jump on the Goldsboro copy. I'm pretty sure it's probably all sold out. Um,
They did drop it to 500 copies for Star Wars Celebration because I think they did 500 regular and then 500 for Celebration. We can go check that out because I am still waiting on my Convergence book from Goldsboro.
because this one is the blue pages, right? Where the
I think this is purple and then yellow is for Celebration.
okay. Um, but I would definitely buy another copy of this book. It is very very high on my list as we said in the regular news show, and of course the reviews for Bad Batch and Mandalorian. So go check that out. But
It
what do
is
you think?
available, it looks like still. So
Ooh, you shouldn't have told me that. You shouldn't have told me that.
28 pounds.
How much? What's the convergent
I
rate?
think when I order from Goldsboro, it's about $33. It does
That's
take
without
forever to come
shipping.
through customs, though.
Is that
No,
is?
I think that's with shipping.
Oh no! You should have told me that. You should have told me that. You should have told me that. I'm gonna look it up. I'll probably order it right after this. But anyway, of course, you can always find me at fanboyclay on Twitter. Go check out, of course, like I said previously, our reviews of Mandalorian and the Bad Batch season 2 finale. We had a lot to say about that one. Um, my other shows on the network, of course, being Ranger Alliance, and the show off the network being Batman News Weekly. Go check that out. Katie, what about you?
Y'all, you can find me on social media at Slice of Katie. If social media were to explode, please go to my personal website. It's sliceofkatie.com to find where this show will be and where Slice of Film will be. Recent episodes for Slice of Film include John Wick Chapter 4, um, as well as upcoming episode Dungeons and Dragons, as well as Mission Impossible 3 next Monday. So you can check those out. Next week, we will be talking on this show Star Wars Celebrations predictions, as well as a Mandalorian review. So, with that, I want to wish everyone a great day or night, whatever time of day you are listening or watching, and we will see y'all next time. May the Force be with you.